instead. That's nice to see. So even though we haven't seen North Georgia really be able to march forward with a lot of convincing attacks, at least the back line up until now has been secure. Can't get the read on the bounce, and that's finally our first goal. 10 seconds to go for Kennesaw trying to close this one out.
Yeah, still with the pressure here from Kennesaw. Now only our second demo. This one from downtown, and that's going to be an own goal here at 3 seconds. We spoke a little too soon here, Danger Talk. Slavip, left side, little tap, not really taking away possession. Now definitely does. Despite going up, the double tap. Hugh Dog and North Georgia come from behind victory with the Puma symbol on the side.
As we've seen many time with new rosters in the beginning of the semester, this might be the first time these players are really playing together at all. So this is really setting the tone for how you guys all click together. Kwong trying to bury one here on the near post, and he does just that. Better. Might be able to pad those stats. Kwong throwing it right back in. That should be open, but it's just wide instead.
Almost gets the nose down onto it. A couple members fighting, twisting, and now an open net the other way going for North Georgia. Nobody's almost hitting payload. Now is Joel. A little soft hit right there. Kind of just puts it in the breadbasket of a couple North Georgia players. That's really, really bad as this one comes all the way down from the other side.
Being able to con the defense out of a clear that gets you the ultimate goal, as we will be able to enter into that 1-1. Maybe not for long as that clear gets away. Hugh Dog into Archie, and well worked from North Georgia. Safe to the side. They're feeling like heroes. They're keeping it up. Slavip into the ceiling. Sharky doesn't get it. Joel with a deflection. It's Quonk at 0. Hugh Dog in the way. Another save. North Georgia will very much so take that ball hitting the grass. Overtime somehow.
Now coming up for the serve. Hugh Dog down. That's a bouncer just a little bit too high though as Sharky tries to continue the theme. Down bottom. And Archie does it here for North Georgia. Set up all day long. Now shoots in right now, but Quonk is going to win that 50. He's screaming off to the side. Bounce off some wall and now in his middle until North Georgia gets another shot at it.
Which be open for Hugh Dog, and they will make no mistake. Kwong, I gotta say, a great effort, but sometimes you need something even greater. You're seeing a player get thrown all the way across, like Joel's really just flailing, and you're thinking, okay, well, I probably have enough time to go to the corner, and then instead, it is in your net, something they're becoming quite familiar with.
And one. Live.
And welcome into another evening of ECAC Elite Action. I'm Jay Turbo, joined alongside Sohav Danam, as we've got Brooklyn College versus Mars going against each other. And these teams, it looks like it's going to be a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, these teams are both really hungry. You've got Brooklyn College coming off a 1-1 and quite an impressive bit behind them from the previous season versus Mars Hill at 0-2. So really, realistically, Brooklyn a little bit of an advantage. They have a win, but both these teams still got a lot to prove. We're in the middle of week 3, so there's a lot to go at, and especially looking at these maps and these things that are coming up down the line, it shows both of these teams are really hungry and they want to play what they're best at. They want to play where they're comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're looking at these maps, and it is stock standard. Starting on Ascent, ending on Haven, and then you've got really your pick of split or bind, honestly, for the middle. And I'm really intrigued to see how Mars Hill is going to do on split, because, of course, there were some of those changes, but it's still one of those really old maps. Teams are very, very comfortable on it, and it gives space to, bring out the Sage, bring out the Raids, a lot of these older picks that some players might be really comfortable on. I think for Mars Hill, you're coming into this 0-2, 0-4 on your map score, and getting that comfort is going to be key.
Yeah, I think coming in with the most comfortable picks you can be, especially given that realistically when you kind of head-to-head these players, they are a little bit behind just by rankings, which, can mean everything, can mean nothing depending on how you play. But, on paper, they are the underdog here. So realistically, any comfort picks you can give and any advantage you can find, that's probably what you should be taking at this point. Everybody's going to play Ascent. Everybody's going to play Haven. So if you can give yourself a little bit of an edge by just going to a spot where you feel a little bit more comfortable, you take it.
And of course, we're not going to be seeing the new pick. We're not seeing Sunrise yet. Both teams wanting to keep that out of the picture because Collegiate doesn't want to do anything fun or new or interesting. But of course, it makes sense. Again, you're in week 3. This is when you start getting into those make or break questions. What's your season really going to look like? Playoffs getting a little bit closer. Of course, I believe it's an 8-week season, but you've got to start picking up those wins. And going down 0-3 puts you in a very, very tough position as we're just seeing picks locked in left and right.
Yep, these are pretty much what you'd expect bog standard from most of these maps. Mars Hill locking in about what I'd expect the double initiator. Makes total sense. Sky gives a little bit more support on the depth. Brooklyn on the other side, probably going to lock in similar. I like the KO versus the Sky, though, in a lot of ways. It's a lot more free information. It lets you play a little bit more slower, and it also lets you push a little bit harder when you get that null command up. You can just kind of send in the KO, let them and find that work. So I really do think these adaptations are going to be a little bit of a difference. The other pairing I'm watching are the Jets. The standard, that is your standard duelist. You're going to see that. That's been day one. It's non-negotiable. Your Jet player has to be, on point throughout most of this because everybody's been playing Jet, so you have to try to stand out there as well.
And I mean, with Ascent being one of those maps that this core composition has been incredibly strong for quite a while, that Jet, 2 initiators, Sova +1. You have that Omen for smokes for that flexibility, and that KJ with just her setup potential on A and B. It's so comfortable, but we've seen some changes in these compositions, right? You've seen the Fade, the Breach, all sort of stepped in as that extra initiator, but now we've really gone back to that point with Fade and Breach both getting touched and not quite being as strong, that this KO in the Sky, the fact that you get that individual, you can see who you're getting with the KO. Do you think that could be the difference maker in some of these rounds where that Sky, you just know there's someone and you have to try and read the map that much better?
Oh, I agree. I think that is going to be something we're going to have to be keeping an eye on. Sky just plays for a longer game. When you look at the ability to heal and just get past the chip damage versus that kind of aggression and that little bit of extra information that KO can provide, it's 2 entirely different styles of gameplay. You might expect, your team with your Sky to play a lot slower versus your KO team to play a bit more aggressively. And, let's talk about, the things that have changed over time. This used to be an Astra map once upon a time. So, these controllers also had to learn a little bit more. They're having to play a bit more aggressively and a little less tactically in some regards. You have to be able to win those duels on Omens too. And especially coming from a player, I want to highlight here, Y Hyper, who's picking up the Omen. He is a multi-esport player. He's been to, top tiers in League. So those kinds of differences can be made here, especially on a role like controller.
Yeah, it's having that confidence in your role in this title, right? Of course, knowing that Yiper was on their NECC League of Legends Championship run team. They didn't quite make it, but still reaching top 8 in competition in multiple esports. Very, very impressive. And you have to hope that it just means that he's got more of those general skills, has that composure, as opposed to maybe getting torn between titles. And I think that's going to be the case, is already just
that's so aggressive. Look at that Jet pushing out far. Immediately punished. Wow. They're going to regret that. They're going to regret that immediately. That's an immediate push, and you can see them. That's going to be a full rotate from both sides.
Yeah, I'm not that call from Mars Hill. I don't hate the option. You're expecting a default, but instead it just turns into this A-site rush, and Mars Hill on the back foot as that last fight lost by August, and it's going to be a chaotic round 1 going the way of Brooklyn.
All right. Not how you want to kick that off of your Mars Hill, but to their credit, I respect that aggression because a lot of teams aren't going to expect that. Like you said, that level of aggression and that level of just kind of bringing the fight to you will realistically catch a lot of people off, and all these early pistol rounds are so crucial. But because Brooklyn College now has the gun advantage, it just falls in their favor. And you can see it. Noodle is even going to buy up onto a Bulldog. They are feeling that confident, foregoing a lot.
Yeah, and I really like this. Have that content moving ahead. Look at this lineup, double up. Not quite coming through, but very, very exciting at the proposition, but could be giving away your hand a little bit early into the match, as this is just going to be a straight flood into the site, completely given up by Mars Hill as they're looking for this retake and trying to interrupt. Instead, it's Chris with a couple kills on the Spectre, and it looks like it's just a shooting gallery for the rest of the team. Flawless number 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's to be expected, honestly. You just have the gun advantage, and you kind of expect to see it coming, but that's a bonus for you. The thing worth noting here is that, like, Ummo has already taken 4. They are leading the Omen. You know, that's not who you would expect to necessarily take that front. And we were looking, you know, what's going on with these Omens. This is now an important, you know, engagement role here. So realistic running on that is unique to this. They are going to double stack more heavily onto B, and now that there's a full rack of guns for the defenders, it's going to be a little bit tougher. They're going to have to play more defaulted for Brooklyn College.
Yeah, I think that this slower approach for Brooklyn is exactly what they need to do. Of course, on their bonus, they probably can't get away with just running and gunning at the same pace, but it's already actually having your Sova be that first lead, that bit of a face check in, and actually just complete trust that this mid coverage will be held. And I love this approach, just cutting off the map so quickly.
Yeah, really denying that central alleyway just does so much for this defense. So you can see it. They are going to rotate in, and the Sova's already immediately rotated towards mid. Means they acknowledge that this is where it's going to go down, and they are ready to defend it.
Yeah, certainly got this read that it looks like a B finish. And now a couple fights won by Mars Hill. Those rifles coming in clutch off the A side. Tree and Main both not going their way. Is this mid control not quite working out? Everyone's blinded. And it's MHU still on top. Only 2 members left standing. And this is very, very close. Not sure if we're going to see the peak right away as they're running into each other. August gets one shut down by Ummo, but it's going to be MHU's first round on the board.
Interesting choice to hear the gunfire coming from A and then immediately turn and run to it. That's not usually how you'll play that. You'll usually kind of slow rotate to it. But that was a very quick, we lost 2, we need to cover down there from the side of Brooklyn College. So I think that speaks to their level of team play, just knowing that, you know, the information and the callouts are been there, knowing that, look, we lost on 2, we know exactly what we got, we know how many are there, and feeling strong enough to capitalize on that. But now we're into real Valorant because guns are rocked on both sides. August is going to hold onto the Sheriff, though. Didn't quite make it to where they wanted, so they're going to have to play a little bit more conservatively to make sure they get the pick first to kind of balance out their play.
Yeah, right here, I'm just wondering, did they see that Axite is...
No,
they caught him, but didn't expect this to actually be in wine!
No.
And then it's 2 immediately! Somehow evened up, but a great little play to turn things around. Everyone's low. Now this is a chance.
You would have thought the KO knife would have caught that, and then somebody should have called that out. Everybody's low on the side of Brooklyn College, though. Trades continue. 1v1. Sova looking for the last one. Caught the killjoy, just has to complete it. There it is. And there's the defuse. Huge return from the side of Mars Hill.
Man, Shadowcaster and August keeping their composure. And this was a bit more of a mixed buy, right? I think August only had that...
Sheriff,
yeah, exactly. Only had the Sheriff because they had to try and buy up after that last round. We're going to get a bit of a replay, and just look at that.
Just slaughtered, just lined up purely. But like you said, the composure was just there from both of those players. And again, these kinds of tricky plays, you'll get it once. So like you said, don't throw out all your hand already. You can't afford to get rid of all of those. So it's 2-2. There's still a lot of Valorant to be played here, and you do thankfully have that. Axite is going to have the op in hand. We'll have the Sova with the Odin, and they are in full form here for Mars Hill.
Yeah, but one thing that fast approach does is anytime you're pushing up this A main, you have to worry about wine because you know there's that really quick early round potential. As we're seeing it pinged, they're like, we have to clear this again. We can't just get flanked up.
Yep. They'll give up some utility for that, but meanwhile, the rest of, it's clear from the other side. Mid is basically free. They've realized all 5 are there now, so now it's just going to be the slow rotation. How quickly do they realize, and how quickly does Mars Hill learn that they need to bring the reinforcements?
Not sure, but considering how just clumped this Brooklyn team is, they have no map coverage, and now it looks like they're
rotating
peeling
out
away, and now they just have a minute, only Sheriffs, and this is going to be such a tough round to play out.
I wonder what their reasoning is here. They must have known that they didn't see anybody on the back flank, so they must know that they're not pushing up and playing more conservatively for Mars Hill. So they'll try to take the space back, but they are going to get met there on mid. No, misses the op shot. That's an advantage here.
Oh, Axite, you gotta hit those. You can't just give away the op when you're holding Cat, and now the entire setup's frazzled. We've got 2 kills already for the offense. Quickly traded back, but Chris keeps this Brooklyn advantage. Now 20 seconds to go. The A finish works out. We will see the plant come down. And oh, that looked so good for a second for MHU, but the speed.
It's going to be a tough push in, though. They don't really have much. That's the only bit of information they'll be able to get. And they're clear out hell, but there's not much they can do. A lot of the utilities already spent here for the side of Brooklyn College, so it's going to be gunfight only.
Yeah, and the fact is, not having that extra util and now all alone, Shadowcaster was able to pull off the 2v1, can't quite pull off the 3. Noodle will clean that up, and a Thrifty to flip the momentum back.
Arguably a bit of a misplay on the defense. You would have loved to pull back the Killjoy utility once you knew it was going to be an A push. It was rightfully played slow, but you really needed to kind of pick up the whole toolkit when you go. There's not likely going to be a rotation at that point, so just call in what you have, make sure what you got. That Killjoy is realistically the last piece coming, and unfortunately at 3 and 5 for August, it's just kind of getting those things under their belt realistically. It's going to be 4 ultimates online for Brooklyn College, which means that they should have the strict advantage here, just considering what they have to just submit for this.
Yeah, I mean, there is Hunter's Fury to try and counter this lockdown. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the option, and Chris doesn't care, just runs in. Normally, you got to wait for the lockdown to clear sight. Chris just says, I'm a Jet, I'm better, I'm here, and nearly grabs another out of market. Instead, it's going to be Ummo picking up the frag. And a couple kills traded back, because that's 1 for Axite, but this is still a terrible position to try and push into.
There is that Sage healing coming back in. That's what I was keeping an eye out for. That's a difference maker when you're looking at these retakes. It's 3-4, but that gives you basically a new life. You just got to be able to use it, though, and it looks like the life has been taken by Brooklyn College as they clean that up and move to 4-2.
Yeah, snatched away, and we haven't seen too much of that healing from the sky come through and be that difference maker. So far, it's felt like the pop flashes, the information from the KO has just been a little bit more useful in some of these takes. But now for Mars Hill, where do you think, Soav, they have to take this next step? Do you think they should try and play to that default, play a slightly slower game, or maybe get a little riskier? Because that's where it seems like they've found their success.
I want to say continue to play a little bit more riskier here. You have 5 ultimates online. You should be good to go. You have a full rack. I mean, send it in. Don't overcommit, but send in what you need to. Just once you know your site is lost, if you know they get it down, just regroup and come back as a team, because that's going to happen just like that KO goes down. Oh,
that is a huge slowdown. Gets rid of the extra suppression. We're going to see if he does get picked up, and with that site cleared off, just be 1 trade in favor of Brooklyn. August got the lockdown, and we'll see if it works the other way. Is quick Hunter's Fury to counter it out, and that means no denial here, and it's just gonna
Omen.
Oh wow, an extra kill on top of it, and Axite got spotted. Axite goes down. 2 left to go for Brooklyn. Make that 1 and make that 5 rounds on the board.
They committed a lot into that. That's the unfortunateness of it all. I wanted them to commit heavy. I wanted them to play a bit more aggressively, but you spent 3 and unfortunately came up short-handed. So you do have 2 left. You have Seekers, which is now so costly. Seekers just to really even get. So you have a bit more information. And now that you've kind of hit this point, you've kind of spent what you had in your bank, I want to see them slow it down. I want to see them just say, look, we're not winning our gunfights. If they get on site, let's take a trade, lose 1. Try to maybe get some damage in and use that sky to their advantage. It's the one thing you have towards you is being able to benefit in a longer game, as they'll push A, and A's just wide open. If they realize this, it's just going to be a free, easy pick. I wanted them to stay grouped up for a retake, but that was too literal, I think. You have to at least defend the take a little bit.
I get the idea of we're going to be on a save, we need to just pick a site, but Brooklyn's been going A constantly, so if it ain't broke, why would you try to fix it? And this just leaves Mars Hill completely on the back foot, and with a brutal retake to try and attempt is already Polo Spring taking down Axite. The dog drops down, and it's just a meat grinder up top and out of tree. No one can make anything happen. It's walkout after walkout. It's just Pixie left. Gets one for the road. That's going to be a secured half for Brooklyn.
That's going to be a strong half, too. That's... Whew. 6-2. Yeah, and the timeout, yeah, I agree. That was kind of rough. You need a break after that. I think, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but you did spend basically no utility. You just tried to go in and play the gunfight there, and I don't know that that was planned because we're so short and maybe we're trying to save up for the next round, which is kind of what it looks like, or if it was just, we don't, do we have any utility? Is it worth even doing it? Do we feel confident winning those gunfights? It's really hard to look at these fights and say, I feel confident to win this based on just even looking at the board. Omo was at 11-5. Like, it's hard not to look at that and just say he's outpacing 2 of our top players. I think if you are, I think if you are Mars Hill, just kind of like set yourself up for success here. Try and use each other. Play that teamwork. Follow the Skydog and follow your drone in. Try to really stop making these hero plays and look to each other to succeed in that regard.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's been just a little bit too much individual focus where we're like that last round. We should at least be seeing, dual peaks. If you're split on site, you need to be working together, trying to trade down, because at the very least, you want to put a dent in this massive economy that Brooklyn's built up. And with such an additional disadvantage, Mars Hill, they've got to try and play as clean as possible. And now back to that default, sticking to this KJ on the B site. And honestly, I feel like that might have been the change that needed to come through, was this KJ moving towards the A site, trying to have extra ways to slow down this consistent approach that Brooklyn's just been beating them with.
I agree completely. I think that if you're going to leave someone to cover, A and B, or mid at least, it has to be the Killjoy. You have so much utility to at least give you information. And this is the other thing I'd like to see here. Actually already taking in mid, this spatial control is so important. Don't give Brooklyn College the chance to just have this space and do something with it. And that's a great opening pick.
So well done. And just catching the timing, and already you could see the call made from hearing those footsteps. And August is here, util's available. Have the nades over by the switch. Instead, gonna peek out after getting spotted. Won't quite work out. It's 3v3, but Polo Spring so low.
11 HP will get spiked down in the 3v3 retake. And you did. There's finally the Seekers committed as well, unfortunately. Oh, no, this is the worst spot for Polo Spring.
Oh, no.
Move, and he's done. Omen
still gets
up
it.
And catches 2, tries the 1-to-1. And there it is, finally. That break is all they needed for Mars Hill. They'll get the defuse, and they'll keep themselves alive. Yeah,
they get around on the board. I'm still chuckling a little bit from that missed nade, just because if he walked forward once, that is a self kill. That is just so unfortunate. And I mean, you said it. You're stuck between that nade and the corner, and you just can't really do much. But the fact that there's the poise to still pick up that kill, still make that trade, I think is what's been so impressive about Brooklyn so far. And even though they lost that round, they're still in such a good spot with the work they've done for the past few.
Oh yeah, you noted their economy, and I mean, look at it. It's still pretty much full buys for the next 2 or 3 rounds, even if they were to lose. So, Brooklyn College isn't really going to sweat that. They're up 6-3, and they still have a full read. A great read, though. A Guardian not going to get too much, so they'll commit the no command in just to push their way, to bully their way in, realistically.
And that's the moment you want. The Odin spraying down. Instead, it's stuck inside the boathouse. Shots fired on all sides. Chris takes him down. August gets one back. And it's going to be a 3v4 retake attempted. And I think those were 2 of the only rifles still in MHU's hands as they managed to pick up a couple more. And it is still going to be that 7th round up for Brooklyn. And this is the worst situation where you just get hard reset back down.
I mean, for Brooklyn's credit, they are playing this well, and they are coming out on top. They're winning their gunfights. It's easy to look at Mars Hill in this case and say, that, and just kind of say they're not playing well. But the other side of that coin is that Brooklyn College is playing well. They are playing exactly as they're supposed to be. They're winning their gunfights. They're playing their economy smart. There has not once been a moment. Chris has been holding onto those knives. That's like an eco save ultimate. Has not needed them. Probably might just commit them because we're coming up to the end of the half here. Yeah.
And August is going to walk up, see if that turret can take initial contact. Already a big blind down. They're checking their corners, and Polo Spring takes first blood. There's going to be another lockdown to hold the site. And for Mars Hill, how do you try and approach this one back?
You just wait. You don't approach. You let them get it down. You let them set up, and then you reapproach this. You don't win by rushing in like that, just because you'll die to a shock dart. You'll die to something on an angle, and you have to play these slower moments.
Oh, these timings. It's so impressive from Brooklyn. Yeah. I mean, just showing that they have that lineup. I'm sure that it was timed with the lockdown to try and catch someone who's just waiting right on the edge. And now for MHU, going to this last round, they've got a decent buy put together. Not full armor, but decent amount of utility. They've still got good guns in hand. Yeah. And I think if they can get this one, that puts you in a much better spot. 8-4 feels a hell of a lot better than 9-3, even though you maybe put that curse in your opponent's minds. I think Brooklyn, they're just confident enough that if they get one, they'd roll it down.
I agree with you. There is a From the Beyond on the field, which can be, I'm very curious to see how that gets spent, especially with the Central Furies being committed so early from spawn. Wow.
I mean, Noodle just knows this is how you open the door. This is how you keep that momentum moving. And even Axite trying to punish through screens can't get anything done. August does snatch one out through Market, dinked down by Mental Athlete. And that still leaves this favorable for MHU. I think this is their one real chance as Pixie picks up another. You have to get this one. Give yourself that fighting chance moving forward. As Polo Spring already got one, it's traded down. And that is 4 on the board for Mars Hill.
What you're looking for, that's a great way to end the half. Give yourself a little bit of a momentum build, a little sigh of relief that you're at least still in it here. And it's a new half. This is always a tough map when you look at Ascent. Sometimes, arguably it favors defenders in a lot of ways, arguably it favors attackers. So all things considered, you're disappointed, but this is a new half. You get a chance to reset, so you take it. This is where the Sky Comp can play. You can take these long approaches. You can heal up the chip damage. Try to play in your pistol rounds for those longer fights. So maybe Mars Hill will have that in their mind going into this. It's very possible that Brooklyn College just played it a little too fast of a tempo for them to really be able to compete with.
That's very possible. If that tempo comes through and they're just not ready. As Noodle, we already know, there are some lineups. We're set up. We see both of them locked in. So the fact that Mars Hill on the other side of the B site could be a little dangerous.
Mars Hill just getting center for free? Okay.
Straight out of mid. They put this deep smoke down, and now Recon Dart shot. And I'm not sure if they're 100% on Axite actually being here, and this is such a quick run out through Market and mid. And yeah, Mental Athlete gets Pixie, but so low, just needs one to go down. And this is the kind of start we wanted to see. A little risky, a little pace change from Mars Hill. Gave them success early, giving them success now.
Still 2v3 on the retake, and they have the angles. Now they have the information, if nothing else. You trade it out, and you'll continue to trade. But Axite will throw it out. We'll throw it out, and that's what we were looking for. We wanted them to change it and get control of this game, how they want to play it. So they'll be rewarded with a bonus, and we'll see how hard they buy up because you're now 2 rounds in. You got to be feeling yourselves a little bit. It's probably going to be you can see even the Phantom coming out. That's really feeling yourself. That's a bold, dangerous choice though.
Yeah, I think for Axite, it's like after that last round 1, you're hyped up. You're bumping, you've got that blood pumping after just racing forward and getting that 3K. It's the kind of confidence a team leader, team captain, duelist needs moving into this second half. And we're seeing Brooklyn just try to go for their own speed. It's going to be a fight here out of screens.
Wow.
Everyone's running through. I mean, Mental got 1. That's certainly a start. A lot of damage from that shock dart. And eventually, it will go over. All the rifles get held, but still a little damage done by Brooklyn and trying to keep this one tough.
That was, I respect Brooklyn trying to say, look, anything you can do, we can do better. Unfortunately, they didn't expect the Phantom on the other side, and I can't say I would have seen the same. So a great turnaround for Mars Hill. They're gonna hold on to these guns. They'll hold on to a couple sheriffs, and from there. But guns now favor Brooklyn College, so they should have a little bit of advantage. It's worth noting though, 2 of the members of Brooklyn College, if this falls, they're both on 0, so it's going to be a full save after this. This is a bit risky here for the side of Brooklyn College.
Yeah, I mean they have to buy up here. It is that first gun round, but if you see that momentum drop, you suddenly get to an 8-8, and that can change the mentals for Brooklyn, where again you see this momentum now 3 rounds in a row for Mars Hill, their biggest streak this game. And compared to Brooklyn, I think they did get that dink through the wall, so a little bit of chip damage dealt.
Yeah, you'll take that. Any amount of damage you'll take here. And still kind of playing it in the neutral, just trying to see what they can find from anything. You do force a little more utility out of Brooklyn College, so you're pretty happy with that.
Yeah. So we reach the last 50 seconds of this round.
Yeah. It's
going to be a B finish.
They've seen the KO on A, so they know they don't want to go there.
Yeah. Good decision making. And this recon dart spots nothing as smokes go down. Here's the quick approach. A little bit of damage dealt from the frag grenades, and now Mental Athlete caught in a crossfire, and Pixie all alone from the start. Good thing Axite's around the side and is able to shut things down, as that's going to be Caster on the plant, and now a very difficult push back in for Brooklyn.
Brooklyn is going to have to play this man down. They do have their angles. They have the outside covered, but they don't. Everybody's on site, so Mars Hill is essentially surrounded here. All it takes is one little crack in the armor, and suddenly Brooklyn comes through, and there's that crack.
It's one, but now they've got to worry about their backs as well. Chris can't even shut the door. It's been broken down and caught between 2 sides. The clock continues to tick, and somehow that goes Chris's way. Nearly got Shadowcaster as well, and that was a very, very expensive bonus, but still won by Mars Hill.
It was the important one. Again, now you're 3 up, you're feeling yourself. The momentum swung back, and you're swinging it back to a tie game. Mars Hill, is 0-2. They are looking. They haven't won a game yet so far, so they are looking. This could be the start that they're looking for to really get their season going. We were talking about how, both these teams coming off of losses, coming and looking for more. Mars Hill has nothing to lose here and only more to gain, so this kind of risky play, this kind of committing into these high-value buys really pays off for them, and they are showing that they can move under that pressure.
Yeah, and I'm worried if potentially we might see little desperation from Brooklyn as this trend continues, as this would be 5 in a row, assuming there's that win. But now you gotta check wine. It was done to you before. Your backs are turned. They still don't know. Through. They still don't know. Chris is looking for the shot, gets number 1, immediately traded, so it's not gonna be quite as deadly, but if you dish out some damage, you got to be ready to have it taken back. And that's a bit of an oversight I don't think you tend to see in this elite league.
Great
read from Noodle to bring this back to a Brooklyn advantage, and on the thrifty, no less.
What you want to see, unless the utility is there, so Mars Hill knows that they know where they're coming from, so they should be able to have this. There's one trade from Noodle, though. We'll drop the bot, looking for more. 2 under in hell, does get traded out, and that is all she wrote there.
Oh my goodness, it was looking really solid, but I think after that 1 kill out of wine, the entire setup just, I'm not going to say collapsed, but I think that Mars Hill's comms got a little cluttered, and they weren't quite as tight trying to set up that post plant. And also, I've got to say, shout out to Noodle for picking up that kill. There were a couple standout moments. Chris, Noodle finding the picks when they really needed to come through.
Absolutely. Noodle has been a pretty much a solid anchor from this 15-7, really holding down. Soba has such a unique role here on Ascent, really kind of usually solo anchoring B, letting Killjoy kind of be more free to control the rest of it. So, seeing that Soba step up and lead the pack and clutch those kills and really hold and make those smart, knowledgeable plays is what you need, because Mars Hill has been getting punished. Let's talk about this. It's the second time that set play worked. You can't afford to let those set plays run you again and again.
Yeah. It's a matter of maintaining that position. This being I think the first true gun round we've gotten this half is going to be a real interesting point, because it's such a game changer, honestly, where this could be 10 rounds for Brooklyn, or it could be bringing it within 1 for Mars Hill, as already a great start from Axite, and that's not going to be anyone still on site, and Pixie picking up Noodle. Makes this a long rotate back for the rest of the team. Plant comes down. It's going to be a 4v3. 2 members very low on each side, so by no means are they out of it. Not sure if Chris got spotted. That's going to be the Hunter's Fury to keep delaying, and this has been some fantastic ulti usage out of Mars Hill to just delay this round, not take any risky fights, and Yiper getting that last one. It was a clean hold and MAHU looking very good on offense.
Hey, some teams just don't play defense well, and that could very well be the case here. Mars just like, they are a more aggressive team. They look more comfortable attacking. It looks like their set plays and their idea of how to play the map really is there, and you can see it reflected in the kills. Now pretty much everybody there has reached double digits. The team is playing a little bit more together. We wanted them to play more as a team and to clear those comms up to capitalize off each other's moments, and they're starting to do it now, but we have to assume they're going to keep this going. They have the guns. It's a save for the side of Brooklyn College. It should just continue this momentum going.
And if this momentum continues, we go to 9-9. And Brooklyn feeling so good after that first half, 8-4, almost a 9-3. And then we brought back to even. Certainly put some questions in the comms as there's going to be a deep flank, but they don't see anything as the timing's already pushed past this midpoint. Now maybe there's a timing on a Yiper as they spot each other like ships in the night, and instead it's just going to be a massacre onto the Brooklyn offense or offensive defense coming out of A. And I think this is just going to be that rotate over to the A site, and it'll be nice and open for him. This long rotate attempt from Brooklyn as well. They don't have much to work with. Short utility, just a couple pistols, Spectre in hand. Still very much on that eco kind of position. Yeah, there's a Guardian, but trying to push into 4 makes life so difficult. Already spotted out by the turret. Like this idea, you've got the grenades trying to take this one side, and the other looks decent for a moment.
Cool.
As Ummo goes down and Mental Athlete, Noodle all start to drop, and we've got some 9s on the board. Little tie game going into our final few rounds, and after the lead taken by Brooklyn.
I mean, look at this half, though. Look at this half. Like, it's 5-1 in the favor of Mars Hill. This is a team that, it shows me that they are just more of an attacking team. They want to play to that aggression, and it's worked in their favor. Now the coin is flipped. They're the one with the bank. They don't have as many ults on the board, and that's what concerns me, is that Brooklyn College, now with a full toolbox of utility, they should just be able to, even if they don't give up and play for a retake, they should just be able to hold the onslaught coming their way.
Yeah, I think so as well, and you can see just the immediate respect being given by Mars Hill, as you've got Spike all the way back in spawn behind Gelato trying to watch for any aggression, but Brooklyn knows they won't get away with that kind of push twice in a row, so instead, the full default down, Polo Spring just a little quicker on the trigger, and losing Axite this early, it's going to be so tough to take any sort of space.
Yeah, that was your duelist. That was your entry, realistically. You're not there's no one else you really want to send in here except maybe the Omen, and that is a rough spot to be in, so these pushes are going to have to play to picks now, or they're going to have to start committing ults, and it looks like August will commit the lockdown, too.
I am going to...
Is it a bait? Or they,
yeah, I think this is a bait. Yeah, and that...
There's the rotate.
Knife only showing 1, as KJ's still here. They're still going to get popped by this alarm bot, and they realize the Gambit's been set, and this is going to be a plant down, but with Pixie dropping, that makes this post plant so much harder, as you've still got the full rotate over. Mental Athlete might get timing right around the back by August, but oh no, it gets spotted. Now this might just ruin it. Does manage to get the lockdown, can't quite get the player.
Not sure. This hold is going to come in very, very rough. They have to play these angles, but they don't necessarily have much gun power. Like, they have gun advantage here, but it's the numbers that worry me.
Yeah, they still have that Omen ulti. I wonder if there's ever a world that you can bait with it, but no. Instead, it's just going to be the duels 1, 10 on the board for Brooklyn. But honestly, they needed it. Otherwise, you're wondering if it just gets completely out of control. I think Mars Hill, they're still fine here. They're okay to buy up once again. Nothing to be super concerned about. And there's 3 ultis burned from Brooklyn that last one. So I think they're pretty happy with that.
I think you're very happy with that. I think the other thing you should be happy about is the creativity your team realized. You gave up the lockdown, which is a very valuable ultimate here, but it did get you on site. It got you the extra bucks for the plant, and it got you a chance at the round. So that kind of creativity and that kind of decision-making under pressure really can go the distance here. They just have to continue to win it out now that guns are even, and now they're behind ultimates. Oh, did they flash themselves?
I think so. That's,
That's
so
tragic. That's
so
tragic.
unfortunate. There's nothing else to it.
Yeah.
And especially in a spot like this where every round matters, every single death matters. You put yourself behind at the very start of this crucial 20th round. Yeah. Oh, Chris is here just holding the angle with an op. There's possible timing. Oh, and this is just so difficult. And August shows. And MHU just look a little lost right now.
I mean, you did lose one pretty early, and you know you don't really have the ability to take a lot of these gunfights. You know there's an op on mid. It's kind of just playing for picks right now until something breaks. So it's going to be the slow play. 45 on the clock means you have to hurry up and make a decision soon, though, because at least find out that the Killjoy is on A, then you can decide. Like, they don't know where the Killjoy utility is, and that's already a big enough problem.
Yeah, the fact is, you're flying blind. Now you realize you're running right into the turret.
Yeah.
Nades get popped, and this is just being caught in a terrible position. You got to start winning your duels, and sure, August gets one in the rotate back, but it's nowhere near sight. It's not going to help secure this plant, and if you go for it, I think Mental Athlete might be able to stop it instead with that door dropping. It is going to be a playable 2v3 on site. This quick race around from August might be able to get involved. This trade so early, the timing's not there. Axite saying under, can't keep the site. Now just 12 health. This is an almost impossible situation and makes it expensive, but that's still 11 for Brooklyn.
Yeah, the grip you were having is slowly falling. It looks like Brooklyn College really kind of understood now what's happening to them. They're seeing what's happening, and they're understanding, look, if we get the first blood, they kind of just panic and don't really know what to do. So great understanding of how these games and these rounds have been playing out, because once they win that first blood, and they've done that pretty frequently, it takes Mars Hill a second to really kind of recalibrate and kind of reestablish their plans. And even buying that time does work in the defender's favor.
Yeah, and Sohav, I think that's a really great point. The fact is, when Brooklyn gets first blood, they feel, I'm not going to say unstoppable, but they just feel so
they're
in
confident.
Control.
Yeah.
They're confident. They're wanting to take these duels. They're not giving away this space, whereas for Mars Hill, it's the exact same, right? Their confidence comes from their speed, and all five getting caught. That's going to be the immediate ultimate coming through and the quick runaway.
I mean, hey, you are very happy with that. I think if you can use Milkman to shut down a B-Rush, you're pretty happy with that, especially if they're rushing right in. Mental Athlete catches 2, looking for more. Chris will not be outdone. Make it 3 for Mental Athlete. Yeah, that was more. You're more than happy with that trade, I think.
Yeah, and Pixie did make it competitive, but Polo Spring eventually able to win that. And I was thinking that with this quick route into mid, the scrappiness might favor Mars Hill, but instead, ever since winning that first round, it's been nothing but Brooklyn for these last 3. And now you're facing down, losing map 1, a solid performance for Mars Hill in this attacking half, but it seems once Brooklyn just got that confidence back, there's nothing stopping them.
I agree with you completely. Like once Brooklyn really understand, they kind of look and saw the script, it worked in their favor. It's basically down to raw gunplay here. Why Hyper has again from the beyond at the end of the round. Not really sure what your plan is for it, but you have it. Maybe you can kind of make a quick little trip. You know, you might as well make a tricky play with it because you don't have much else. You're going to stack up 5 on B, and if this gets red quickly, this could be a disaster.
Yeah, this is a quick concern as Nade does go down. Quick dash across from Axite to just give them that market control, but a big paranoia the other way provides so much time for setup as now Noodle gets the read, gets the first kill. Actually shock darts themselves, so that certainly makes life a little more awkward, and we're into a 3v3 for Mars Hill's life this game.
And Sky has the heals for the chip damage, so that makes this even harder considering the KO on the opposite side is so low of health. And now you're down 1 for Chris.
And that means no KJ utility either, no extra peaks. And there's a quick trade down. Hookah wins between the Omens. It's Ummo and uh-oh for Mars Hill, as that's going to be a Brooklyn College first map win.
It was, look, it might look like a pretty solid win from them, 13-9, but, you know, that was There was no, that was almost neck and neck for the majority of it. You know, there was moments, those moments of swings really were back and back. These two teams, you know, they're lower on the brackets, but it really does seem a competitive game here. I do think that if Mars Hill is going to even get a map win on the board, this is probably the match they could do it.
Yeah, I think that for one, they showed that they were pretty solid on Ascent, that they had their fundamentals. I think they just lost it when they weren't able to keep changing up the game, that they just really struggled once they started to get red or couldn't quite read out where Brooklyn was going. And I mean, just the fact that they couldn't respond to all of those A hits at the start, I think really led to their downfall, just having such a large deficit to come back from. But now we're going to Split. We're going to their map pick. And I think that a lot of the skills they've shown are certainly going to be good, because Split's got a lot of ratty little corners. And we're going to cut to a quick break before getting you guys that second map, as we'll be right back with more ECAC Elite. Welcome back. Still J Turbo and Soav here as we're moving into map number 2 for this matchup between Brooklyn College and Mars Hill University. Now, we saw some explosiveness out of Mars Hill. We saw some good control out of Brooklyn. Now, how do you think these elements, and I think some of the other pieces we saw from these squads, how do you think they're going to step into Split and lead into their play styles?
I think each team really has their own moments and ways that they can really make these work. Brooklyn College in particular, they are winning their gunfights. They understand that they can play off each other, how to set each other up, and they feel confident. They know that when they get the first blood, they can really just like continue to chain those together. And that confidence of just being able to win those duels will go a long distance, especially in these smaller sight lines, to be able to, kind of weasel your way in and out of these hallways. But on the other side, Mars Hill, very creative, very willing to make sacrifices, very much a give up a pawn to get the king kind of a scenario. So those kinds of last minute under pressure decisions really paid off for them in moments, and it got them more than you want. And, going now to Split, I do think that this is going to be a little bit interesting. We're going to see August pick up the Viper. We know that that's kind of the other Sentinel choice here across this. So double smokes being trying to cover more of the map. I do like that. That's one way you can kind of set yourself up for success and keep it tricky. Breach, a little bit of an interesting choice. It makes sense. I'm kind of a little concerned about the lack of information coming out of Mars Hill. You would like something. You have some out of Sky, but not a ton. It's a lot more firepower and raw damage versus Brooklyn, who they're eyeing pretty similar, but the Mental Athlete, pick that Cypher, win my heart. Give me all that information. Give me all of that. Because I think that he's a great pick here. I think you have so many small hallways that just a well-placed tripwire or a well-placed camera will give you an entire coverage that you can come across. And Umo over covering the Astra too is an interesting, little more flexible piece. And I think that she's been falling out of popularity a little bit. But if you want to maintain that flexibility without committing a second person like they're going to, you lock the Astra.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. Are you picking the Viper on this map or not? Because if you're not, you have to go Astra, I feel, just because she's one of the only agents that gives you that full map coverage, that gives you that ability to react to your teammates' calls. And we did see the Cypher locked in. They were listening to you, Soav. And I think this is just fascinating because we see this like all guns blazing on one side from Mars Hill, and we see this more methodical, a little bit slower composition coming through. And I think it's also in part reflective of what sides they're starting on, because the fact is Mars Hill starting on attack, the side of Brooklyn opting for this defense, and I think this plays well for Mars Hill. The fact that they can get that advantage, start to just get some executes on the board, and let their team run wild.
Yeah, let's take a flashback to 10 minutes ago where we were looking at them going up 3-0 on the attack and just having this momentum. They are very much so a momentum-based team. They just want to take that, and they're right to feel that way. The concern I have is if that momentum gets halted, we've seen them fumble and just kind of drop the spaghetti and just go, well, what do? We don't know what to do here. We already lost someone on a crossing, and now we have to try to reevaluate our plans, which it really can throw off a team. Losing someone in the midst of everything forces creativity, but it also puts you on the back foot. So that aggression really needs to come through, and they need to stay committed to whatever they decide to do. That will be a key to their success, I believe.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's about trusting your team, trusting yourself, and most of all, trusting your confidence on your map pick, right? Yeah. And stepping forward and being like, we were able to take some really solid rounds. We were able to make our opponents sweat on their pick. So even if we weren't planning on winning that one, we are planning on winning this one. And I think if we get to Haven, that just opens the door for both of these teams where you have that explosive potential with it being a 3 site, and you have still a lot of that control from Sovas and picks like that, which I think Brooklyn would be very excited to pick up. But we've got Split on the board, and we're going to see exactly how these two teams approach it.
I like leaving Cypher over on B. I think it makes the most sense here. Either there's going to be a B rush, which is, hey, if you've played ranked, the usual first round is let's rush B. So I like that, just being able to kind of clear that full site and stacking a little bit more onto this A site, as they will give it up, but there are people to be met here.
Yeah, and just look at this confidence and control. They're like, we know exactly what we're doing. This is our execute. And Axite just stepping forward with all of the aggression despite getting chunked out early. This is still an advantage. Umo makes it a little more expensive as there's still two very, very low members alive for Mars Hill as Chris and Hyper, they're doing this little dance around screens. Every second that ticks away looks a little bit better for Mars Hill, as it looks like we finally got that approach, and August barely slapping down the hammer with that headshot, keeping this one even.
No, he turned his
but
back?
to look the wrong way! You knew there was someone waiting there, Hyper, and instead, it's gonna be these two players, just one shot left, probably 30 HP combined as Noodle gets traded. It's all up to Chris. Headshot necessary for Excite as he's trying to dance around the side, doesn't know where he's coming from. And Chris just barely secures it. I think 1 more second of stalling, and that's a Mars Hill round, so absolutely brutal. Point 13 on that. Oh, that hurts.
That is brutal. You want to talk about a momentum killer? You want to talk about a mental breaker? That will do it, especially with how quickly and confident MHU came in, felt that site. They took the early first blood, ran it down, just tried to take control of the site, controlled the sight lines with both of those smokes, but just couldn't quite play it long enough to get that down. And that's the difference, right? We were talking about, you know, teams that need to play a little bit in particular ways. That's the slower paced team. That's the kind of more information you're gonna get from Brooklyn College. Now they'll have the guns up, which means that they should be able to put a stop to this rush again.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the call. Very good awareness, and we're even seeing the concussion come through. Flashpoints as well. This is an all-out brawl.
That's so much utility.
Ramp coverage. And everyone's here, and it's all looking good for Brooklyn, maintaining that weapons advantage, just rushing on in, and that's a flawless.
Well, again, like, they have the guns, they have the Spectres. At some point, like, you knew that wasn't, like, you can't rush against that. You're not going to rush against the half buy. Like, at best, they assume you're going to do it again, and you can see Mental Athletes holding a judge in case they were going to do that, or they just have more raw automatic power. Like, that was unfortunately kind of lost at weapon choice by them. It's partially not their fault, but that was, you know, decisions made. Here we are. So round 3 should favor them a little bit. They'll have mostly half armor, but they'll have full guns. Surely they don't just run this down B again. Like, I like the explosive play. They have the more aggressive team, but, like, they can't get punished by that again. It just failed. You have to play it a little bit slower and at least force all the utility out before you run in.
Yeah, I think that was just an attempt of, do they have the read? Do they watch for this? And August, you've got to check your corners when you don't have that complete control. That's already an upgrade handed over to Brooklyn, as the attacking side just, I think, a little overconfidence, honestly, for Mars Hill on that one.
So they know the sky's over in B Link, so they'll know that it's probably a little less crowded over on A. I don't know what information was passed. We know that they saw the jet there. I don't believe they saw the Astra there, so it'll be a 4v2 into this until the rotations hit. It's gonna be, they should have the advantage. They should be able to execute the site. If they play a little bit slower here, they might be able to get in, and you can see it now. They'll commit in. Yeah,
and I like this play, but you still got to watch for who's behind. Stunned up, but almost still gets it. These disadvantaged fights somehow going the way of Brooklyn. That's another, and it's a utility kill at that. Just kill after kill, a flawless on the bonus. And I think this is the exact opposite of what we were expecting.
We were expecting them for Mars Hill to come out guns blazing, and here we are on the other side. With Brooklyn College just reading it. And this was my fear going into this, was that Brooklyn College, you know, we've seen usually by game 1, you kind of understand how a team's going to play. And Brooklyn College has shown they can connect round to round through the full game, as opposed to just, you know, this was a round, we forget the set plays that were ran against us. And that kind of individual round mindset has really been hurting Mars Hill, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so as well, and wonder if maybe there's even a part of them that prefers starting on defense so they can feel out these stylistic choices. And now we're going to see everyone locked down by the cage for a second, but nobody shut down by the Cypher on site, and this is going to be a quick little play coming through.
You're going to send in Showstopper immediately? Okay, that was a bold choice. I respect it.
I'm guessing the idea is just, you know, clear the space, make sure we're not going to get peeked. Let ourselves get in those ratty angles, because you're playing with stingers and stuff like that as the dog goes just wide. Stun doesn't, though, and Chris will clean that one up. Another attempt coming through, and
that's
remember, this is still a save. That's a spray through the box. Already a little expensive. Pixie keeping it expensive, and Hyper bringing it back, as that's exactly what you want to see if you're a Mars Hill fan.
Yeah, you're happy with that. You want to see this team come up, and that's what we were looking for. We were looking for them to take these aggressive plays. They realized, all right, this is what we wanted. I was just shaming them for this, and now they've put it on me, so shame on me. They learned quickly. All right, they're just parking the Astra at A. It's been fairly covered. That must mean, Cypher must be covering B. We think we can take that. If they're leaving just the Cypher on site, we think we can rush that. So it looks like they're going to run that back, and I don't disagree. My concern now is there's 3 ultimates up for the side of Brooklyn College. They've strictly one more. They just have a few more tools, and now there's an op likely covering A, which means A is now off limits. They're going to have to push through mid and then make a decision of where they want to go.
And still plenty of options open. I do like this early round Nebula to just hold the space so effectively, and we can see both smoke players as well, just keeping these wings. So a true little 1-3-1 come through, and that flash will give some info.
That'll be enough. You'll know that someone's there, and you've got the Breach who's well equipped to handle that, and now with backup on hand means that they're going to look to B. They're going to decide, all right, most of the firepower's there. Let's go in.
Oh, and
Great
look at that! Using the satchel to break down the tripwire. Haven't seen that one in a while. His mental athlete now is just stuck between 3 players. Will go down. There's going to be another secured spike. Unorthodox plant position as they're looking to take some different kind of angles, and there's the Seekers to spot him out.
Interesting. I don't know if you need the speakers. You already have advantage. You have 5-3. I kind of would almost rather just give the heal to the Rays and just win out by gunplay if you're Mars Hill. You have the numbers. You have everything in your favor right now.
Yeah, I wonder if it plays just to slow things down, and a couple kills go back, but it is still another Mars Hill round thrown together.
You'll take it. Look,
yeah.
No shame in that. You're happy with that. You got one out. You got one ultimate out of 2 for the side of Brooklyn College. Like, you've dumped their economy. They're going to have to force now, and I think you're fine giving it those first 3. Now you understand how they're going to play split.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you lose that pistol, and I think that's where the real momentum shift came from, and that's where the snowball was just really tough for them. That there was, I think, a world where Mars Hill gets that pistol. They survive for an extra 0.14 seconds, and this half looks a little different. But the fact is, they're not letting it rattle them. They're staying in control, and now Chris gonna walk right into 2. Somehow still gets away with 1, and this execute has just fallen completely flat on its face. Asai can't even get anything, and now it's a complete blind brawl for Ramp to try and stay alive. Shadowcaster gets an illegal headshot, and now Ummo brings it back. It's suddenly a 1v1. Plant's gonna come down. It's Initiator v Initiator. Noodle might be looking to the wrong side, as it's just a dance. He sprays through. No shots land, and it just takes a little bit. Just takes one timing, looks to the right, gets the shot. And Shadowcaster, despite the attempted heroics, not quite able to finish the job. And Brooklyn with a much-needed round, otherwise would have tied things up.
I don't know about you, Turbo. I'm not sold on this A set play, this aggressive A set play push. It's the 3rd time they've run it. It's failed the most of the time. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Like, it just hasn't succeeded. I think you can't. They're signaling it again. I'm not sold on it. Sure, you're getting the first blood, but they've seen it 2 and 3 times now, and Brooklyn College has shown, if you show them a set play, if you try to play a trick on them, they'll pick it up and they'll hold it in their memory and they'll play onto it. It's just the Astra on A, but that means they're going to play this way back. They're going to just use the utility to try to stall it, and the rest of it will cover. Will come from the other angles.
Yeah, and this set piece does execute quite well with the Rolling Thunder. They're able to completely clear sight, but there wasn't much to clear in the first place, as it will be Ummo going down, and with no smokes, that certainly makes this retake that much tougher. I'm wondering why Brooklyn, after seeing so much presence on this A site, decided to go for that B stack, and instead it's going to be site given over, and Polo Spring gets away with murder on the side, and this is just completely turned on its head. Paranoia doesn't do a ton. Hyper's going to need some real heroics if there's going to be a burst out. And now it seems off these flashes, that's going to be the case. They look the wrong way off the steps, and it's a bloodbath. But it's Mars Hill on top.
I mean, I guess I'm just going to curse that because they, you know, fourth time worked. It worked in their way. I'm actually kind of surprised, like you said, the Astra just didn't back out of that. I can see trying to stall up or at least take away some sites, but if you sense that rush, you've seen the rush a couple of times, it feels like you should have just given up that space and just played the full 5 retake. That was an interesting choice by them. Unfortunately, they were punished for it, so they'll be in a save for the side of Brooklyn College, and 2 ultimates up, they're going to save them. There's nothing they can really do with the Rolling Thunder or the wall there, so Hyper does have a From the Beyond again, so there's at least a little bit of transportation tool, a little bit of tricks available, but it's more the guns that I'm watching for the side of MH here.
Oh, look at this from August. Oh, unfortunate. I think that's a spot where you just got to go burst for each member.
Yep.
Does take 2 down, but still giving away a Phantom. That's, I think, a little more firepower than you'd want. But considering the delay, considering the time, I think you're still fine with that if you're MHEO.
You still have the you have the man advantage too, so you're not as disappointed. You know it was only 1 gun, and the question mark is who ended up with it. You also know where they are. That's more important, is knowing exactly where they're going to be playing from, so they have this hallway on lock now.
Oof. To the side of Brooklyn, I wonder if there's ever, you know, a call for try and have these sheriffs do as much damage as possible, hold on to that Phantom, and it seems indeed that is the call. At the very least, a run away from 1. It's an extra bit of damage dealt on the other side, but Axite gets the wrap around. I think they're going to try and hunt down Noodle, as that's going to be a boom bot. And instead, no, they're just going to leave it, let Mental Athlete take themselves down, and we're all tied up.
Yeah, I mean, here we are again. It was destined to be simply because it was a save. So, you know, here we are again, like you said, 4-4. And now it's a full rack of guns available on both sides. 3 ultimates up on this side of Brooklyn College. More so looking at the Cypher and the Rolling Thunder. You know, Rolling Thunder is going to be a great if you're expecting that rush. So if you do get rushed, you know, and you can see it looks like they're lining up. They expect the A rush. They might just commit it relatively quickly. I'm also watching the Cypher because any pick like that got a lot cheaper. That's a lot more free. So any information you can get just gives Brooklyn College a better chance to win here.
Yeah, those extra pieces. Now that's just a rough timing on the smoke down, but still traded perfectly back. And now it's actually Mars Hill on the top of it, and what good patience from Hyper, as this is going to be just a straight race down to B from both sides. Pixie has complete Heaven control. I think they know this is going to come from spawn, and this is going to be as open as possible. Just plant for Garage and let the round play itself out.
They have no reason to push. They can just play the time here, and the Astra's now basically on a star. She does have a wall, but there's no reason to commit it. So it's just going to be, how many exit picks can you get? If you're 0 was the answer, apparently. 0.
Oh, that's unfortunate. And you're looking for more, but I think for Mars Hill, this is their first lead of the series, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And that's got to feel good, especially going into a force from your opponents.
Agree. This is that momentum. We know they're a swingy team. They get 2 or 3 in a row, and they can really carry this. It was a relatively cheap round as well. 3 ultimates up for them, plus a full rack of guns versus half force buy plus 4 ultimates. And especially because Jet doesn't have knives, means that it's probably gonna be more of a full save in that regard from Brooklyn College. So as long as oh my gosh, they're just gonna get beat for free. There's no one there. No way. They just whole split the map.
They use the showstopper.
They use the showstopper. They commit. They just committed everything on both sides. That's incredible.
And then they just
August knows though. August has to know this is coming. The Seekers tell him that.
Yeah, they see it coming. There's 1. There's 2.
Oh,
looking for 3.
3.
Gets 3. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Would have loved to see just that rundown ace, and this will give a Vandal over. But if you're Mars Hill, I think you're fine with that. You caught the rotate. You got an empty sight. And that should be number 6 on the board, unless Mental Athlete has some serious heroics. Looks for the taps. Gonna get stunned up. And Noodle getting 1, traded back. And this final fight, actually, now we're in a 2v1. I think with the time, it's just too late. But still, very expensive for how that started. And yeah, this Cypher's not getting out, is it? Or, oh no, there's a small little pocket.
There's a pocket there. You get the pocket there. He's going to try to rush at the end. I mean, shout out to August, though, there, who picked up the 3-piece. Granted, it was served on a silver platter, but August, sitting at the top of the board, 9-8, had a really quiet round one. Their Sentinel player really kind of came to life, struggled on those initial points as we go into a timeout. But really coming to life here, it really shows, Viper really is listed as a controller, but let's be real, she is more of a Sentinel in a lot of ways than she is a controller.
Absolutely.
She does have smokes, but she does have a lot more of the ability just between those smokes and those Molotovs to really just hold your ground and really keep a site under control. So, I mean, August, again, 9-8, doesn't seem really impressive, but considering the game they had in game one, I think that's a player who's really come to life here.
Yeah, I think so as well. August has just had some very key flanks and completely disrupted what Brooklyn's assumptions are about how Mars Hill is trying to play the map. And I think that's exactly what you want out of this pseudo-sentinel role on the attacking side. You want those defenses, and I think, as you were saying, the fact she has these rigid pieces of utility, that wall that gets placed and just says, this zone is going to be mine, and the fact you can move that smoke around, but it's still stuck to one point after it's been dropped. It's very, very impactful and has been playing that role just to absolute perfection so far, I think.
Yeah. The Viper really just says, look, I stand here. You can deal with that now, and it really makes a statement. And we were talking about how the importance of the Viper. Either you're going to play the Viper and play it sort of a double controller, or you're going to, force that, and it's looked like the double controller has worked through the stun. Noodle absolutely crushes it.
Oh, that is just some great reaction. Just to stop. That's it. You're done. And that's going to be a dog as well to slow things down. We're already seeing it's 4v4 on this site. Noodle, I think, is going to get this duel unless the timing just works out. A touch against them. Or even once again, that first blood been nullified, and August nearly taking it on to Chris. This just makes the position so tough, especially when you add in the blast. And now Blade Storm popped. This is very difficult, but actually with this patience, they're just baiting that it's a B rotate.
Yeah, a great decision. They knew they couldn't really get Spike in, so it was the right call. And we've seen them. Brooklyn College is going to buy this because we've seen them pull this play before where they slow rotate this. So they'll have 3 going into this push, and it looks like it'll be 2. Most of the utility from the breach is gone. Also, the Astra has most of hers left, though. So they held on to a lot. Hopefully they have enough. I'm sorry, breach does have quite a bit, so including the Rolling Thunder. So they'll commit it now.
And that's huge. This just gives them the timing. They're all caught up. But Hyper still gets that kill. Wasn't quite caught. Mental Athletes got the trade back, though. And Pixie all alone. And you can't fight a war on 2 fronts quite like that.
Nope,
and this is going to be Brooklyn getting number 5, looking for an even half. But I am going to say, this is split. It's Mars Hill's side, and it's a defensive-sided map.
Quite literally split in a lot of ways, honestly, from almost rounds to where we are in the game. It's 3 ults to 1, but a full rack of guns on both sides. And again, this is what Mars Hill University has really succeeded with, right? Those kinds of tricksy plays, that kind of creative on-the-fly decision-making. It's just, unfortunately, Brooklyn has kind of caught them out, has kind of understood and read the textbook on what they're doing, and plays into that and just reads it a little bit better.
Oh, this is a little interesting.
They haven't mid-pushed before, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there hasn't been much. There hasn't been this kind of approach. No, Axite! Oh, no. Not getting the read with the team.
No shot.
The judge is given away. Just one little frag, just making its way over. Oh, but that is so brutal for Axite, and just some miscommunication, I think, within the team. You've got to know that when that smoke's dropping.
Yeah, and again, you'll see it. They'll back out. They lost the first blood, and now it's going to take them so much longer to reevaluate where are we going. And it looks like it'll be the call to go over to B site. So we'll see if Brooklyn College catches that and is able to kind of be ready for this, because it's just the Astra knows there's someone here, but just can't quite take it. It's going to be a tough 1v3 at this point.
Yeah, and there's the paranoia. There's the bird, the guiding light. It's giving that indication. Stun up. Gravity down, and Shadowcaster still keeping it competitive, but August getting caught off by Chris. Looks like that'll be it Shadowcaster still has a chance. Blinded for a moment, and now here comes the flood down. Takes one out of rafters. There's a chance to split these 1v1s. Looking the wrong way, and Chris will claim an even half.
I mean, this was the one that we were talking about in the pre-show. This was the one that was probably going to be, we're thinking, the closest toss-up. You know, not everybody scrims this. Not everybody's looking at this map. So to see it the full split feels right given the strength of these two teams. Both of them, you know, looking for wins. Both of them lower to the middle. You know, Mars Hill still looking for their first win, and these teams both kind of are showing that this is about as even as a match it's going to be. The kind of thing I want to throw out here is that for Mars Hill, they have improved. They have seen it. We wanted to see them, you know, use each other, play off, you know, set each other up for success. And we're seeing them do that more here on Split, where we didn't see that on Ascent. So I want to see them carry that over now, and I want to see them continue this on the defense. They may have to be that kind of a team going from here on out. They have a little bit more of a solid defense in the Sentinel, but they also have a lot more firepower.
Yeah. That is going to be the real question, is which kind of utility is going to be useful for this half, as we're already seeing just that clean run up. A few players getting decayed from the Viper smoke, and Chris has cleared out all of back sight as the initial
free. Wow.
Seeing nothing, yeah, they get it for free, but now they're trapped, and this is where that meat grinder can start to come through. That breach, that raise can really deal some damage, but if we still see that same MHU passiveness, it's going to be tough as we see the flash out. Early kills go over to Mars Hill. Now a few stuns up on site. They know they've got to be an elbow, and you're just waiting for the shots to come through. But you still got to dance back and forth. Both teams, high member, low member, and now it's no members left for Brooklyn.
Again, but that's a great retake, though. They just acknowledge, look, we're not going to try to play this site. We know that they will win in those kinds of brawls from earlier. They just decided, look, we're not just going to play it. We'll play the retake. And it worked out in their favor. It was a great read, a great understanding of where our player is most likely to be, and an understanding. Really just kind of showing that technical back-end bookwork from the side of Mars Hill. And, you know, now they'll be rewarded with this buy-up and this bonus. The judge is interesting. I don't know if we're expecting... Posted up at mid, it looks like. That's an interesting choice, but I don't know what they're expecting. Maybe they're expecting the B or the mid rush, but they have the gun advantage here, so they should be in a better position to just kind of win this one out and keep the streak going.
Yeah, I think so. Very, very difficult. We're already seeing Brooklyn just so grouped up in mid, and oh, this could be a very dangerous nade. Not quite far enough, but still a ton of damage dealt. The snake bite as well. This is brutal.
I mean, that's, yeah, but we've seen this come out. Oh, where are you going with that, Judge? You know, you got the information you wanted, but you ain't hitting anybody with that, Judge. They'll back it up and they'll continue to hold here. But yeah, you have that Viper wall. Now it's just going to be a question for the side of Brooklyn College. You know, what do we do? We've hit that wall where everything's defended. Where are we going to go? And it looks like the answer is going to be A. They didn't spend a lot of utility to get this, but they also they don't have the sky heal. So this is going to be playing a little bit from behind thanks to that raise nade.
And that's what this composition wants to do from Mars Hill, is get that stun nade. It's not quite as prevalent as we saw when there was that real breach fade raise sort of meta. But now, as we're going to see this fan attack moving into the B site and only one member to hold it, a huge paranoia. It's going to stop them dead in their tracks and give a little time for this rotate. Shadowcaster stunned up, going to have to back off with that Bulldog. Can't land any shots, and this is a free race on in, but you got to remember, members are still low. There's a Judge and a couple Spectres looking to slice around the site, and Chris snatches up one, or make that two, so that's a couple guns down, but overall, I think a pretty solid bonus for Mars Hill.
Yeah, you'll take that. You're pretty content with that. I think by the end of it, you'll grab whatever guns you can hold on to and go from there. I was a little concerned, honestly, going into this. You know, we were talking a little bit earlier about having the information, and Mars Hill doesn't quite have it. But what they do have instead of that information is just the ability to share and communicate what they're doing and that trust in the team. So that kind of decision-making, again, that play, that kind of split-second decision-making really is working in their favor here. They'll go up to the only negative now is that they're down and behind in the guns as the way it goes in Valorant. So a little bit of an uphill fight now to keep this momentum going. They're going to try to, it's almost like they're reading this A push though.
Yeah, it seems that they've at least got an inkling of its possibility. Pixie trying to take this off angle, not going to work, and does get shut down by the push in. That breach stun. Just got to do your due diligence with it on these gun rounds, and now there's the rotate coming through for Mars Hill, but this is going to be tough as, again, they've lost that lead unless you just walk into Axite, give him a gun, and shut down all that defense and completely turn things around. Oh my.
Yeah, that's the problem. If you don't have everybody accounted for, the lack of information can burn you, so the gunplay does favor here for Brooklyn College.
Yeah, they've got those leads, but they're still so clumped together. There might be a world where the kills just come in left and right. A little bit lower. It's a 2v1 spray through the box. And MHU with a little 3-round lead.
Hey, you're happy with that if you're Mars. They're still looking for their first match win, and if they can get it here on their choice, you're excited. You'll happily take that into Game 3. Now we're into Valorant. Everybody should have a full rack of guns. We do have a couple ultimates up. Chris does have knives, so it'll probably be a save and commit knives here. And Hyper does have From the Beyond. They'll use it for whatever. It was worth noting that Raze came through mid around all the way through B, though. So it was a long trek to get there. An aggressive start that really paid off. So, again, just making sure they have the full understanding of where Brooklyn College is at all time. I'm sorry, where Mars Hill is at all times will make the difference here for Brooklyn College.
Yeah, and already that guiding light, getting so much information, you've got to know they've got to be grouped, and woof, little dink through the wall, almost shutting down Noodle. Now Chris gonna take a chance, but already shut down to 34.
Oh no!
And the snake bite sinks its fangs into Noodle. You normally see it the other way around with Bird snatching up the snakes. But this time, little roll swap as that's going to be plant down.
And I mean, Sky died trying to heal on that, so that tells you the Jets not getting any support. Means that they're going to take this hold a little bit of a man down.
Yeah, actually this late rotate is going to make it difficult, but not that difficult into the lesser guns, as that's still 3 kept alive on this save round, and already double digits for Mars Hill.
Yeah, They definitely are feeling themselves now. This momentum is carrying. They're continuing to run this. We were wondering if this Mars Hill team was an attacking team. They looked so strong coming into their attack on Descent, and now they're 4 strong here on the defense. They're just putting us to shame. They're not just an attacking team. They obviously understand how to play split. It feels like they just took the right pieces together, whereas I'm not going to say this was lost on Agent Select, because that's not true. This was a close game, but it seems like the Viper really has been the difference maker.
Yeah, the amount of space that can just be held, and this could be scary, or at the very least, a big chunk of damage. Not too huge, as I think with the fault line showing just a little bit, that gave it away. But this is going to ruin Brooklyn College's at least initial attempt, and they'll have to find a way back out.
Yeah. They'll try their luck crossing through mid. See that they can at least cross through there. So the push mark is reloading, and it looks like they will push it. The Viper spent most of that wall immediately, so this is the best chance to go. There's not that space fully controlled here for the time being for August.
Oh, almost the timing. August just has to race away, but does, I think, make the call that this is a lot of guys coming through, but actually, it's the call. It seems like they're
it's to be.
Hey, this is so strange, as it's actually Axite just getting a decent angle. Finally, a showstopper landing and stopping everyone else dead in their tracks. This has been slowed down so much just from this bit of utility. It's got Brooklyn, I think, a little confused as they're trying to drop down onto site, but no, they haven't cleared out the angles they need. And now, with a little bit of a fight, we'll see Yiper get some damage dealt, and this will be Spike coming down.
And that's over. Yeah, that'll be the clear again from Mars Hill. They got it all on the way out there. It makes total sense what Brooklyn College was trying to do. They were trying to avoid and force August out. They know that he's been hitting the top of the board. They know that he has been controlling all that space with that wall, and they were trying to avoid it, but what they did was walk out of one Viper's pit into another waiting for them, and they couldn't quite win those duels out of those small halls. So, I mean, it's 11-6. It's going to be a force, it's probably going to be a save, maybe a force out of the side of Brooklyn College here, and time is running out. You have 2 ultimates. You can't really afford to give up a full save. You can see it. Mental Athlete is going to hold on to the single Guardian, and it's hard. This is a conflicting round for Brooklyn College. It's very make or break right now. They'll either have to save and win, or save and then be forced on a match point in a bad position.
Yeah, I don't like either option. Whenever you're trying to run back an entire half, it feels doomed sometimes from the outset, but at the very least it means every single round you just give it your all. And already some good chip damage dealt onto Mars Hill. We'll see if they can make their way back to their sky, or if this is just going to be a continuation off that pressure as Shadowcaster gets a good bait, and Yiper and August each deliver. And now there's another attempt from Noodle, and it's just one after the other. Amo's all alone. Stunned for a second. I think in just a moment we'll see Shadowcaster clean, and that's 12.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to shout him out again here. August on this Viper has absolutely been a phenom, has been a difference maker between controlling the space, just knowing those lineups and hitting it all down. 17 and 11, not quite leading the lobby, I guess, by kills, but when you look at the impact as an agent, as a player he's had, it just stands out to me as being such a crucial part of this Mars Hill team. 3 ultimates in a full rack. It's going to be the force from both. It's do or die. All of these ultimates are going to come out. I mean, it's Seekers, it's Wall. There's a lot of utility that can give you information and control of space here for the side of Brooklyn College, and they need to commit it. You're not going to go home with it.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is still, of course, winnable. There's still the ability to get all 6 back, but Mars Hill, they're obviously confident. They're showing that they're willing to just throw utility out. I think that Seekers was a great play, confirm that there is that majority on this A side, and force Brooklyn to have to start reckoning with that information.
They'll take the rotate back. They did get a lot of utility out of that, so this seems like a reasonable take, especially if the expected plan is they're going to rotate to mid. It should be a little bit of information gained now, where you're going to press this aggressively and not overcommit.
Yeah, and I love this patience from Axite, as that's the counter fault line. Good for 2, August for another 2, and it's suddenly Polo all alone in this map point round. Suddenly surrounded, I think got shut down by a Rolling Thunder, and sure, Yiper's looking the wrong way, but that is a perfect defending half for Mars Hill for the win.
Wow, you couldn't have told me that was coming. That's an impressive. Genuinely though, this is not the Mars Hill we saw in Ascent. That is quite the turnaround from them, and granted this was their pick, but that's what they needed. They needed this first map win. They needed that kind of a presence in a map, and now they've got a map win. Now we go to 3, and now it's likely to be possibly their first match win. So great turnaround, that kind of great momentum. They do appear to be a momentum-based team, so they can carry this forward, and they can probably get themselves their first win of the season here.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think there's a real shift possible, but you can't count Brooklyn out quite yet. There's still another game to be played, but the fact is, MHU, they got their first map win of the season. They're moving forward, and this is going to be an exciting end of the series. We're going to take a quick break before being right back with the finale.
and there's really no need for them to. There's only one way that they can come in. This is perfect execution, and with all 5 members left up standing, they only have one opportunity to get in there. Raga, 3 kills on the board, make that 4! Raga on fire already in a flawless first round here.
Raga.
As much as I respect this B wall being put here, the problem becomes is that they have the weapons to really mess things up. Oh, Ossify not clear the corners, up in the air.
No way!
Sunflower still walks away before finally being taken down with 2 kills. Gonna blast them right in. Parker's gonna try and find it. 2 concussed in heaven, but they're not gonna get any advantage out of this breach ultimate. Beautiful from Killavati. What a way to fight that out. And now wrapped in it, the nightmarish embrace of Glore. USCA finds every single player of GCSU. In comes the Prowler. Madness Hatter. It's just not many. It's head after head after head. 3 in a row. They are not stopping. They are putting a hat on each and every single one.
Ties us up 4-4, but with this weapons disadvantage and now player disadvantage, what else to be done other than lay down and die? USCA winning split 13-1. The most, if their accuracy stands to boot. Now, unfortunately, I'm not so far, but who cares when Faye gets a 4K and rips this team apart on this site A. A beautiful performance. All she has. Haddest. I don't know. That's what it is now. Lord Ian, last one left standing. Lord Ian, the 14th. Last one left standing.
They don't have time.
Up, and
Sentinels,
nobody's got time to plant, Sam. Great eye, my friend. Lord Ian clutches the round technically, but a win is a win is a win. The Elim to boot! How insulting!
Parker needs to make the magic happen. They have their ult. They have the smokes available to them, but they have seen them. They need to throw it down. In comes the Molly and Madness Hatter to finish it up with the Odin kill. And there you have it. USCA, I said it right this time, are going to be able to take this map of Ascent, and they're going to be able to take this series 2-0.
Instead, that's nice to see. So even though we haven't seen North Georgia really be able to...
Welcome back to ECAC Elite. I'm J Turbo alongside Sovdanon. Sovdanum, excuse me. And we've got Brooklyn against MHU. We got MHU picking up their first map. And I'm going to ask you, Soab, who was your standout for MHU that gave them that space? And do you think we're going to see that same kind of performance going into Haven?
I mean, you already gave it away a little bit for me, Turbo, but I mean, it had to be August there on the Viper. That was such a crucial piece of that composition, controlling the space, hitting those angles, really forcing their opponents into some awkward fight takes, and that's really what we wanted to see out of that team. But the question mark to me here is, going into this next map, there's not going to be a Viper, and the performance previously on Killjoy, it was fine. We went 1-1. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it leaves me a little bit of a question mark here. August has been kind of hot on this Viper. Can they carry that momentum, just like the rest of this team has carried that momentum through their first map win? Can they carry that into the next game is my question mark.
Yeah, I hope so, because, I mean, a 294 ACS, 19 elims, I mean, we saw some of those moments where you're just picking up those flanks, you're getting that damage down early, that decay is maybe what's separating a won fight from a lost fight, and now we're having to go back to that KJ just because Viper doesn't make a ton of sense on Haven anymore, right?
No.
So you're seeing that locked in for August, and I've got to wonder that so much of that success, it felt like it came from the willingness and the ability to just get off site and start moving and still being able to move back. But now on KJ, you're restricted. So I'm a little scared for Mars Hill, but I think that they're, again, momentum-based team, just won their first map.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It's also going to be the mirror. Like, there's no reason we're really going to play anything else.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, we saw a double Sentinel here, but Killjoy just holds so much space, like you were saying, that it's hard not to take that. Sova's still perfectly good information. And Breach, this is like a map almost designed for him in a lot of ways, considering how many angles you can play off of, how many walls just interact with other rooms, and how wide this map is. It makes total sense. This is going to be a really great test to close this out, because it's going to be the true mirror, and not just that, but a true mirror on a map that maybe you didn't quite focus as hard onto.
Yeah, I mean, Haven, it's the old bread and butter, but it's had so many different iterations that it's not like you can just say we're going to play this the same way we played it a year and a half ago, right? You've got to keep adjusting, keep updating. And even though this is going to be that true mirror, I'm excited because on Ascent we had a near mirror, but it was that difference, the Sky versus the KO. And that KO, it seemed to have that extra piece, but now there is no difference at Agent Select. We said that split might have been decided by the extra firepower, and now it just comes down to raw team play. And I think Brooklyn had a lot of it in game 1, but looked very scattered at times in game 2.
And that's the concerning part, right? Is that Mars Hill kept their composure. Sure, they needed a minute to back off and get their composure back whenever they lose a first blood. But Brooklyn College, they would lose a fight, they would walk into a bad position, and it would all just kind of fumble, and they'd be too committed into whatever it was. So I really do want to see them set themselves more up to success. They're winning when they take one-on-ones. They're winning when they were setting themselves up for success here. And this is a map that really does work towards setting each other up to success with the breach, with the Killjoy utility to kind of clear people out of holes. So I'm really watching now to see how these teams continue to set each other up for success and also control this wide map, because this is so big. A default really doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah, you have so much space to work with and so many alternate strategies that we're going to see employed. And this gets me really excited for Mars Hill because they showed how many set pieces they had on Split. And even though a lot of them were still that standard ramp take into a site, they had a few different methods of executing, and even just catching a slightly different angle can be enough to win a round and force your opponents to be on edge. So I'm very intrigued to see. I believe they're starting on attack this time again, just like on Split, and they can get that confidence rolling. And we saw when they were ahead and they were confident on defense, they ran away with it.
Yeah, I think confidence really has been the kind of sixth player for the side of MHU. It really has been. Once they start to get a few chains of rounds together, they really put it together. And you can even see it here. Brooklyn College, it's going to be mostly a save. They're going to invest into armor, means that they're going to be more confident in their fights over their utility. They want to win based on just pistol damage. And I respect that choice. I think that's the smart play for them, considering they win those gun duels.
Yeah, they have been, very least recently, and now through the smoke, ghost shots go wide, but Omen v Omen duel goes the way of, really it was traded, but still, the fact is, you've got this early plant, and now, August almost shot down, and that's going to be an extra kill from the blast, and now it's just Hyper left after a flurry of kills. And no time to waste. There's too much on the clock. Lots of damage dealt, but only one taken down. Once again, we see Brooklyn striking first.
I mean, that's the difference between buying your armor and buying in for a few pieces of utility. You can see that August had invested in Alarm Bot, had invested in a few of those mollies. But again, Brooklyn College, they understand what they're good at. They understand they can win those gun duels. They just invested in armor and said, look, we can take 2 and 3v1s. Let's just win by that. They're rewarded now. They'll have the gun advantage. And it's going to be up to MHU to now respond in kind. They're not going to have much. It looks like it's going to be a couple frenzies. Not as strong as it once was. But they are going to invest in the armor as well. And I think that's fine. I almost kind of wish they would just take the full save here. You're not winning this round, likely, especially just historically they have not won versus Brooklyn College. I kind of wish we would just buy utility and save. But we're just going to get a free kill from Noodle. So yeah, now they really, I think they should have. Thank you, Noodle, by the way. Thank you for that.
It's like, thank you for proving my point.
My point, yeah.
Yeah, I don't hate the frenzies, but honestly, a classic with armor. It just feels like you're doing so little. Yeah, you don't get one tapped by an Ares anymore, I guess. Like, that's
fine, sure.
Yeah, you take one more body shot from a Spectre, but I don't think that's any difference maker. I think it's moments like this where you push forward, that's your difference maker. And now there's potential Spectre, unless they're just shot down. And Noodle, of course, getting the wrap from Garage. This is not even, I think, going to be a plant as the race comes out. Frenzy trade, but now it all goes in favor of Brooklyn, and only 2 members lost.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it's going to be. But I think the heartbreaking moment was that immediate pick through Garage. Just it was kind of just sealed the deal. You're already starting. You're not even 5 seconds into the round. You're already fighting the 5v4 now, guns down. It just is the way it is. The bonus they'll have is that now they are the ones in the advantage with the full rack of guns and armor. And it looks like there will be a bit of a buy up from the side of Brooklyn College, which I think is right. Again, they have been winning. They took these first 2 rounds mostly on gun duel. They used some utility, but they're winning the gun duel. So I think just giving themselves a little bit of the armor here to try to match the advantage across from them is the right choice.
Yeah. Certainly can help set themselves up for success. As we see a little bit of speed just taking this A-long control, and now already just getting spotted out by the alarm, and that's going to trigger the full map rotation as Brooklyn betting on the fact that this is a full team commitment, and it was for a moment, but the fact that there wasn't that final commitment sends a few members back.
The one thing that Brooklyn College knows is that when MHU shows up, the whole gang rolls up in a 5-man rush. So it's a good read from the previous games, but considering they haven't seen anything, yeah, they're going to start rotating back out.
And this is just so well done. And there's going to be just a slight angle and the immediate turn back from the entire team, but Axite already into sight, spraying down the only angle they could die from. This is a very slow approach, and the rest of the team out of sewers. Wondering if they're going to get the plant in time, just barely, but this is a scattered retake attempt. Currently going the way of Mars Hill. Oh, August keeping it going, and that's another standout performance we needed to see, and that's the first round on the board for Mars Hill.
That's what they wanted to do. You're right. It was a great read. You know, they took they broke the expectation of the 5-man rush and then the counter rotate. A great read from that. Brooklyn College. I mean, the 3-man swing was powerful, but unfortunately just didn't have the full knowledge to it all, right? Like, that's kind of the problem with a little bit of these changes. You know, let's highlight the other change in the room here is the Sky versus the Sova. It's, again, a little more information for Brooklyn College, but it is, again, that kind of longevity, those longer rounds, and that's where the Sky comes into play, the ability to hold that out. You're not getting it again. I'm sorry. I love it, the play, but you're not going to get it again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love the idea, just can't expect your opponents to do it again. And ooh, sorry, this is just another moment of tension where you just see no alarm bots spotting out this jet. It's scary.
Your shots now, though, so there's that.
Yeah, and they know there's a jet on site. A little stun comes through, a mental athlete is caught, but the timing's not quite there until it is, and the entire team just takes a few Brooklynite heads off. And now there's just 2 members left standing, and what is that? An Ares? It's an Odin for Noodle. Okay.
It's the full Odin, but it's a 5-man, and they've been fully healed up, and yeah, it's just going to be a save. Like you're not winning that. They have no reason to leave site and push you, and you have too much firepower. This is the right call. They're just going to play for any exit picks. I think it's just the best you're going to get, and now. MHU is going to have that momentum again. They're just going to be able to kind of take 2 in a row, and they're going to build just like they have in the previous games.
Yeah, and I also love this awareness coming through, this very slow walk up short. Well, now that they found that there's no one there, they're just going to play this safe. They know that there's a chance. Peek out, and that's going to be 1 for free. Don't see any race to take this Odin out of their hands.
Nah.
And yeah, that's going to be it.
Yeah, it's fine. Look, you're not. You're not going to rush that. You know, Noodle has pulled the trigger early and will pre-fire you, so you're not going to take that. It's the right call. 2 and 2. It's about where we've been. Both of these teams pretty evenly matched throughout the course of both of these games. Now we're playing Valorant. Now we're mostly full guns in hands. I say that, but Brooklyn College, they spent a little early. It was a bit of a gamble to kind of sell those guns, and now they're paying back the debt. So they'll have a few pistols in hand, and they're going to probably count on Noodle to find a pick and really balance this out.
Yeah, and round 5 is a bit of a break point when it comes to these kinds of matches. Yiper, barrel gets spotted, and even though that first shot goes wide, second rings true, and Chris able to take this aggression. It's at the cost of the C site and a plant.
Did they recognize the Seekers went backwards?
I guess so. Yeah. Okay. Now they know.
Now they know. Yeah.
Because they disappeared off of our mini map too, right?
Yeah, they weren't there.
It's like they are running backwards, right? Please tell me those Seekers hightailed it, hit us with a little 180, and now it's going to be the race out from Brooklyn as they're still trying to hold this position. It's currently a bit of a shooting gallery for Shadowcaster, and there's a little bit back and forth, and now Bolo Springs brought it back to a 1v1, and Pixies gonna dance its way forward, but still on a very low investment round, a very high amount of economic damage dealt.
Oh yeah, from both sides. You know, the lone Pixie was the survivor of all that, and you lost pretty much every high value gun there. The real winner though, by the end of that, was Brooklyn College. They didn't have as much money to commit in, so now they'll be, you know, they'll be a bit closer to where they want to be. They'll have 2 ultimates on board, including that Hunter's Fury for the post plant or for any rushes. Across from them, I mean, it's Lockdown. And it's so much space control. Lockdown and Rolling Thunder just demand that you answer or get out of the way of the space. So MHU should be able to get in and out of whatever site they want with ease.
Off your feet!
I think that's going to be exactly what the doctor ordered already. Rolling Thunder and Mental Athlete somehow gets the one shot in the stun. And that could be a huge difference maker as it's now really slowed down this push. There's a little questioning coming through the MHU comms, and they do get this drop. But now, actually, I don't know how I feel about this push unless you catch the timing on it. Get 2, 3, almost 4! Noodle shuts it down, and it's suddenly a 1v1. Hunter's Fury committed. I don't know about that decision, but now it's gonna be just that 1v1. 34 HP on Noodle, dies to a single body shot, and so does August if it's in the head as Noodle precision, and we're all tied up.
Oh, August was one of those players we were watching, but Noodle has decided that he will be the protagonist this game. August over on that Killjoy, it's tough being a Sentinel player because you know you have to win that, but that is a heartbreaker. You were just in that you just had that 3-round lead, and you know, hey, you'll pick it up and go as it's tied back up to 3-3. It's going to be like a weird mix from both of the teams, including from Ultimates. So this time MHU will have a lockdown, they'll have knives, and they'll have From the Beyond. Fine, you're going to at least have a little bit of control, but it's going to be the same across from them. So really very, very even. Chris will commit knives into this early immediately. So this is going to be a toss-up. This could quite literally go every way, just kind of based on the gunplay here.
Yeah, it certainly couldn't. I think whichever team picks up this next round is probably going to take a lead in this half, just with all of the impact that's coming through, and Chris has just been deadly at finding headshots, and I love this decision to race on forward. Not quite as impactful, didn't get as much as I think they wanted, but still a ton of time, another body down, and Brooklyn's very happy with that.
Yeah, you're very content with that. You'll trade your jet for 2, and honestly, you're now looking and just going, okay, did they rotate? Do we have sights on the rest of them? Do we know anything? And the answer is no, you don't. So MHU will be able to double back. They'll know the Killjoy's utility is still there, but this should be a pretty free sight if they choose to attack it, if they choose to just draw the attention, and they might just choose to draw the attention, but it looks like they will commit here. You can see the Sova on the long flank. Watch for Noodle to come around here once this assault. Once this entrance hits.
Yeah, they're gonna immediately get spotted off of the alarm bot. Jet dashes past it. The rest of the team are just gonna wait on this. And yeah, there's the race back, as you said, from Noodle. That's gonna be the one to watch, especially with this lockdown committed as well. There's nothing that can really kill it right off the bat. And oh, this is a dangerous attempt. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Oh, no.
Noodle on the flank.
Oh, no. They missed the timing. And those are 2 kills you just can't give away like that. And it's not even planted for you. As that's Brooklyn with a beautiful 4th on the board.
An unfortunate misplay. You cannot get caught out into that lockdown. It was just one of those moments where even if you're going to play aggressively as the Jet, that was a questionable choice, but it didn't quite pay off like you would have wanted. But getting caught on the back end for Noodle on that flank was just unfortunate. You thought you were safe, you thought you had the coverage with you, but no one knew where Noodle was. So again, this lack of information really does tend to punish. So really, I'm looking for this. As you said, it'll be a full rack of guns now for Brooklyn College. They should have the gun advantage. Ultimates are 2 apiece, but really there's no armor for the side of MHU, and that's what I'm concerned about for them.
Yeah, that is the biggest concern, is you're going to start seeing just some lighter one-taps come through. only takes a couple body shots, and already we're seeing just how it doesn't really matter what gun's in your hand. A judge works just as well against low armor members. And now August all alone, not able to get that first shot. And that's Brooklyn looking back in form.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of expected again just because of the gun difference, but that was just a brutal. It was a great aggressive take from MHU, but they just never. They unfortunately just walked into the grinder, like you said in the past. So, but this should be a little bit more even. I mean, it's Rolling Thunder up on one side versus Lockdown, and I think that's going to be the interesting interactions here, because August will have their Lockdown. They may use it to enter, but there will be a Rolling Thunder on the retake. So I expect Brooklyn College to play this back and just kind of let them take and then recover with as many people as possible.
Yeah, it seems that these larger retakes have worked really well for Brooklyn. They feel very confident and just very aware. And that's an unfortunate pick to lose the start. Cloud coverage gone for MHU already.
And again, they'll back it up. They'll take a minute and reassess. But, I mean, Shadowcaster is really deep. They don't really know he's there, but it's going to be tough. He may not get out with his life considering the Killjoy has got an eye there. It'll be the rest of the team rotating. And, again, you don't have much entry power. You have a Jet Smokes, but that's about it. You don't have your breach entry. This is going to be a very rough entrance. Thankfully, there's no one on C for them to really have to interact with.
Yeah, and it does look like Brooklyn are still assuming that this is going to be an A finish with that extra dark cover dropped, but that shoulder peek's going to release the trap, let them know what's going down, and this is pulling some rotates, but now without the immediate attention, they're shoring A back up once again. And this is looking scary.
Time's running out, too, more importantly. Yeah. You don't have it. You have to commit to this fight, and you don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah, and Recon Bolt buys a little time, gives a little information. That KJ ultimate, you got to try and fight for it in that spot. And instead, it's August taking that win. It's a 4v4, but health certainly in favor of Brooklyn.
One detained. Is that up in heaven?
I would assume so. It seems that it works out for Chris.
Yeah, thankfully to survive it. 4v4 on the retake, though. A lot of the utility. Rolling Thunder is here. You can see it's going to be ready. That's going to be the key, whoever they catch.
That's just one onto August. Everyone else off site. Quickly traded, though. And I think that's the key point, is making sure you're managing those as Chris gets the Jet duel done. Now they know there's just one member long, one member short. You just have to try and time this one out, and Amon is trying to stick. Didn't get it to half. This is such a delicate dance coming through, and Pixie shuts it down. That's the circle, and that's going to be round confirmed for Shadowcaster. Gets the last kill. Didn't even need to, but everyone dies in that round.
Ooh, it was a hard-fought fight, and considering we're back now to 0, yeah, that's... I mean, MHU couldn't afford to let that go. That was 3 in a row for the side of Brooklyn College. They needed to swing the momentum back, and this is their moment to do so. You know, Seeker's up for Pixie means that there's a little bit more information on this attack. Means if they play aggressively, they'll know what they're doing, and they should be able to take it. It's going to be a bit of a toss-up, though. It's going to come down to gunplay here. You know, a little bit of an armor disadvantage tells me that that MHU is going to have to play a little bit safer, or at least make sure they win their fights.
Yeah, I will say the only silver lining is there's only Vandals and a Guardian on the other side, so it's not like you're going to have that 141 tap come through. Now Axite races back, races in, has to shoot down the little nade, and will get taken out by Polo Spring. And now this is a very chaotic entrance. Somehow works well for MHU, as now it's a 3v1 as Chris trying to race back from C site.
I mean, these scrappy fights work best for MHU. This is where we've seen them succeed in those split-second decisions, in those entries where they catch teams off guard. That's what we've seen them succeed in. And now they should be able to have the success here in a 3v1. It's just Chris has the dash, but he's been spotted, and that's going to be the end of it. So those chaotic moments are really where MHU works best, as they'll use that to tie it back up.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic look, and the ability for MHU to, I guess, build back and keep this half close is exactly what you want to see. And this is, again, giving me some flashbacks to Split, where we're pretty dead even in that first half. And we saw once MHU was defending, it just worked for them. They were able to slow down these fights and take the pressure where they needed to, but that was, of course, also on their primary map. Here on Haven, they've looked a little bit less coordinated and not quite as solid, so we'll have to watch for that. As this is, I think, their first C rush, and it's forcing a very rough time as Mental Athlete somehow still gets away with the kill, does get traded. It's going to be complete site coverage.
And they'll get it down and be a 4v4 on the retake. A lot of the utility spent for the attackers, so but they'll have control of the site, and now they'll know at least coming who's in garage. So no real ultimates up, so this is going to be coming down to just our dart angles and our gunplay.
Oh, that is so much damage. Look at this util play. Just fantastic stuff so far from Brooklyn, and this is why you need to have those extra options as August pops out. Pixie's only got 1 HP, and that will be round. The retake coming through for Brooklyn, and again, just a couple moments, right? That holding that corner, knowing that there's probably a lineup. Staying in that back corner when there's the breach damage that can come through when you're planted for long. It just feels, again, like a slight lack of coordination, maybe a little miscommunication in that round where MHU, it seemed like they had all the pieces they needed.
They got in for free, basically. It was given right to them, but in previous rounds, we've seen that where Brooklyn College, they know how to set each other up. They understand where our player is most likely to hide, where are we going to be setting up, and what are we going to be looking for. You could see that Sova dart angle as it, hit exactly where it wanted to be. So this team understands how to use their utility. They understand how to play off each other and set them up for success. That's where they've been strongest. And if they continue to do that, they can take these rounds back. And Noodle just trying to find any bit of information I get from across the map.
Yeah, and I don't hate that as an option. I think there's certainly a case to be made for that on retake or as an anti-engage, but it still serves a good job of getting that early round info, clocking what your opponent's trying to do. And of course, with this being number 12, it's one that neither team, I think, wants to take an especially quick approach to. And it's going to be an execute. And Chris didn't get caught, or actually just barely clipped on the side. They're not ready! And oh! Shadowcaster just walks right into him, and that's a free kill given over. Still advantage MHU. They're going to get the plant here. But after that, it feels like maybe Brooklyn's got something special up their sleeve.
Looks like they're going to try to just bait out this utility, maybe play its left. They do have a lot of entry utility here between the Breach and the Killjoy, so this retake is going to be a little rough. They only have one entrance for it.
Very possible, and they're taking it here. Flash is traded both sides. First duel won. The crossfire a little too strong as August grabs 2. And once again, dead even at the half.
We wanted a banger. We're getting the full 3 and the split, so I mean, now comes the question marks, right? We've seen MHU dominate these defending halves, and now the question mark is, are they going to do this again? Are they a defensive-minded team? And they're, how does this composition work? There's not, it's a pretty solid on both, but they seem to have, they seem to be just on fire. They seem to be warmed up, and they seem to have all cylinders kind of burning at this point. So, I mean, you see the default, you see they're looking for it, and it's going to be a question of, what are we buying? We saw Brooklyn College in the first time last round shell out for the armor, and it worked. Doesn't look like they're going to run that back, though, so it'll be a little bit of a mix of both from both sides. So it's just going to come down to raw gunplay.
Yeah, I think it's 2 pieces of armor, 2 ghosts, and a full util player. So exact mirrors. This is just going to be a quick race into the B site, and considering these buys, I like that decision, unless this is going to be a race back through Link. Shots fired, none deliver, as August going to finally get that cleanup, trying to survive as everyone's racing through Link, unable to find a headshot between so many members, and this has just been chaotic, set it duels back and forth, and we're at 3v3.
I mean, okay, they got what they wanted, which I guess was A-Site, so 3v2 on the retake. Yeah, it's just a breach utility here. Shadowcaster unfortunately dying. That was a lot of their chances into this, so 1v1 on the finale goes the way of MHU.
That felt so weird as like an end round, because we see the plant come down, we see this race away from August, this contentious, awkward moment where we're seeing just the breach standing with his utility out and almost and getting caught by Chris, in all honesty. And on the backside, I'm guessing a similar situation for Hyper and MHU. I'm going to say a little lucky for that one.
Yeah,
that it worked out.
I'm gonna be real. They got really lucky that worked out, because that whole play from start to finish was confusing. We rush through B, storm Link, and take A from CT side is not a usual play. I don't know that's not like a set play you usually run. It felt very set, but also being confusing. So maybe just trying to keep MHU on their toes. They'll have the gun disadvantage here, so now they have to play it a bit more traditional. But A is basically open, minus a few pieces of Killjoy utility, so I'm sure they'll see this pretty quickly as it's all 5. They'll get control of site here and enforce the retake onto MHU.
Yeah, and I'm a little surprised this is a full retake play for A site and so much presence on to B. I can understand like the theory of it. You're expecting with worse weapons, a similar kind of strategy, but going into this, you tend to see Sheriff see those longer angles, and now a little bit of just time. Great play from Brooklyn, and now here's the attempt back in. Guiding Light goes down, and August leads the way forward. 3 already from up top, and now final 2 just waiting out a short. Get their kills. Pixie still defusing though, so it seems it'll be fine. There's a little more damage dealt. Noodle does go down, but way more expensive than Mars Hill would have wanted.
Absolutely. You'll take 2, you'll get your guns back, but that's not how you wanted it to go. You wanted it to be cleaner. I think it was the right call to play for the retake, honestly. You know you have the advantage. You know that you have the utility at that point that you can win it. So it feels like the right decision. Now it flips. BC will have better guns out there and full rack of util. So the question to me now becomes, is BC just going to run it? It looks like they're set to run it down to C in a pseudo split, but it looks like MHU, they're set up to push aggressively here. I'm watching for that because that could be their way to kind of negate this bonus.
Straight race out of grass, and that's going to be the paranoia dropped as well. Mental Athlete and Uno just trying to run away and find an example, and suddenly that's 2 kills going the other way. Chris had already raced onto site, and I like the idea, didn't quite work as this final duel comes through, and it's going to be a Brooklyn round.
It's going to be a Brooklyn round, but I think the real interesting thing to hold on to is this is the second time that Brooklyn has kind of made these rush plays that really just catch you off guard. Have been catching one, okay. Yeah, I don't know where that was. It was a bold play. I respect it.
Yeah, you got to go for it.
You got to make the try. Yeah, it's the second time they've kind of just run this down in a strange fashion and really caught MHU looking and guessing. And considering how close this is, you kind of got to make those plays. You got to make those judgment calls. We applauded MHU for making those kinds of gutsy calls in the moment and making those kinds of snap decisions. And Brooklyn College seems to be doing the same now. It's just not quite panning out in the. Well, it's working out. I'm sorry, it's working out better for them in the sense that they're so. It's the old like bronze versus immortal. The bronze is going to win because the immortal's not thinking what the bronze is thinking. You know. Not to say anybody's bronze, but like it's that mentality. It's that kind of
it's that central idea of if you're playing on complete opposite, I guess, understandings of where you're supposed to be, you can make that split decision. You can make that flank work. You can catch a timing, and we've seen that happen so many times already from Mars Hill with their willingness to take some awkward openings. But Brooklyn have been just very solid together, and I think that's been the difference between these styles is, are you going to have that unorthodox play? Are you going to be willing to take a few risks? And right now, it's just traded.
Trades are fine, though, from both sides. About a minute left means that it's going to be a question mark of can we still continue to push A. It hasn't been a full rotate yet, so, I mean, Drone will find there's no one really home, and the rotate will be called. So they're going to push onto C as they'll pull knives. Makes this a bit more of a heavy investment for BC than they might have wanted.
Yeah, this is going to be that much tougher as we're going to see Dark cover. Still not even going to catch Chris. They're not ready quick enough, and that's the perfect accuracy as both C members cut down in an instant. There'll be an attempt here for the retake, but it's going to be so tough with just your 2 initiators.
Yeah, and nobody needs to heal. Nobody's in a good spot. Little damage will catch, but at best. But they have the angles now. You're playing from utility and from behind. There's no real good play to entrance this.
They're gonna try with their flashes or just run away.
No,
yeah, I like that. I like that a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. The game's too close. If you were behind or if you had a lead, sure, take the trade, see what you can get. This feels like the safest call. You can let it go back to a tie. Don't even play for the exit picks. Yeah, just keep what you got and go. Considering how close, you can even look at the board and see, you know, all of these players are pretty much almost 1-to-1 with the exception of the top of the board, and that's August and Chris. You know, it's still very close between these duels now as we're into game 3, and it's getting to those clutch points.
Yeah, and it's showing how competitive this Elite League really is, and
yeah,
it's also showing just how your first couple of matches don't define you as a team either, right? I mean, looking back at MHE, it's not like they had really super easy week 1, week 2 matches. They were still tough. Like week 1, they're up against USF Squad, which is a very solid program, which had them against each other. So you might be a little weaker in that week 1, and for Brooklyn as well, picking up a win of their own, but still struggling in their losses and just trying to, again, make that statement play, be that solid team together. And now we're seeing both of these teams, those first 2 weeks, have certainly lit a fire.
Yeah. Little firing down on C. 3 will move and rotate. And it's, again, just baiting this utility, just trying to get out what you can if you are Brooklyn College. Try to catch anybody out. Noodle will catch one out, and that is an opening for them. Means it'll probably be an A push here if they don't get if the rotate doesn't come in time.
This is going to be another one of those timing moments, as August does have an option. Only has a frenzy in hand, but sometimes just being at the right place at the right time can change things, and it's not going to change anything this time around. Deal some damage, but does get taken out, and with that rotate coming through and 50 seconds on the board, Brooklyn happy to race over to C.
Yeah, I mean, more importantly, they're at all 5, so this next take will probably go way more efficiently. Now they also have the angles. You can see they're covering those mids. It'll be from the Beyond from Hyper. Just going to try to cut this off. I'm not sold on it. I don't think it's a right call.
It's so gutsy. Just might... Oh, I know what he's going for. I think was trying to see if they could catch the DQs on the timing or something, but no, not going to work out. 1 kill back, though. And... not sure if they realize that he's right on site.
They do either, but they have the angles. There's the one. Garage is still open, though. They're going to find the information there. It means that they'll win this, and there's a chance. Now it's a 2v2.
Yeah, that's time. That's Pixie. That's both of the Nano Swarms. And now going to try and stick it. Not able to find an off angle, and it's going to be Pixie holding it down. There's nothing else to do. They're looking the wrong way. They're running forward.
Look at it.
And that's finally going to be it. But that was almost it. That was almost the moment.
That was a great show from MHU, though. From a down position to come back that well. It was a little scary for a moment, but they really did put in the work, and I'm glad that Wiper had the trigger control there. It would have been very easy to see with the spike going down and just think, I could probably get this pick, but it was the right call in the end to make. That kind of trigger discipline says a lot about the players and the program and how far they'll go. It'll be a full rack of guns on both sides now, 2 ultimates up across the board. Both have lockdown, but you know, it's Hunter's Mark now. I'm sorry, it's Hunter's Fury versus Seekers now. So, you know, both. I expect all of these ultimates to come out. It's almost at that point with how close it is that every round is crucial to a victory.
Yeah, it certainly is. This is so close. And Chris going down early. That is so much space. That is just gone.
That's your space taker gone. That is now you have entry just becomes so much more difficult. You have to give so much more util, and it makes your defenses so much harder.
Yeah, unless you just take the dry peaks, does get traded. August's going down. It's a decent amount of util, but with it being all placed around B, not the worst death in the world. And still, this numbers advantage for Mars Hill. They're playing patient. They're not giving really anything away. If this timing just works out. Oh, they don't know. They just passed each other. They assume it's clear. And now Shadowcaster takes the punishment. And, oh, I almost thought that was down, and instead we see the lockdown, the spike coming through. That was a little bit of luck on one side.
No,
and now
Axelight
has to race in, gets the right click. I don't know if they'll be able to get it. They need a kill. They need to take this down. Otherwise, they're both detained.
It's
a little bit of cleanup crew for Mental. And that is so painful for Mars Hill.
Look, I'm gonna disagree with you here. That was punishment. That was the consequences of our actions. We've done this time and time again, and there's a point where you can't keep putting your hand in the cookie jar and expecting to get away with it, and this is what happens. It costs you a round that was your tying round. They'll take the timeout for it. I agree. That is heartbreaking, but at the same time, that's the consequences of your actions. You rushed that. You decided as a team that we could beat this, and we were going to be able to play this out, and man, that is heartbreaking. It's one of those things that is going to break a momentum here going forward.
Yeah, those are the kind of rounds that can break team morale. Very, very good decision to just take the timeout. I mean, what do you think's going through their heads, Soav? Like, how do you try and get back into this game, and what has to be said in this timeout?
I mean, you have to address what just happened because that was a rough round. You caught 2 and a detain. You had the chance to take the defuse, but you lost to almost being a little bit too greedy in a lot of ways, and that's not always a bad thing. But I think you just need to stop and say, guys, let's get our heads back on. Let's take a minute and reconsider this. We are so close to getting this first win. We can't let it be lost to just split-seconds decisions that we're regretting after and letting that boom us. It's 10-8. You still have plenty of time. You have August lockdown going into this. You're on a save. It probably means you give up one more round here if you need to, but it means you have something at least on a retake.
Oh, and I like this decision. Just complete speed. Not quite able to get the pick, but I think that's what you have to do when you've got the stinger in hand. It gets interrupted. And, oh, no. Oh, come on. You can't stop it. Deal the damage and just give the kill away, as this is going to be a free run into a site. Chris kills Yiper, and it's just the Breach left standing. Shadowcaster, is this a save? Is this an exit decision?
I mean, they're hunting you at this point. There's no world you're getting away with that gun if you're Shadowcaster, and now they definitely know where you are. So it's just going to be, can you survive? And the answer is no. Yeah, there was no world you were getting out of it. It was going to be a lost round anyways, but I think they saved as much as they could, all things considered. So it'll be a full rack of guns for both teams now. 2 ultimates up for MHU on this defense. Again, lockdown. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that works in their favor. They have lockdown and they have rolling thunder. They have 2 great space controlling utilities here, which means that they can either stall until they can get a rotated with one, or spend them both on the retake. They should be able to play this defense very well, or set up especially well for this. The other side is if Spike goes down, Noodle's holding Hunter's mode. So there's a lot of defensive utility for MHU. They just need to not get greedy and not make those decisions.
And
sorry.
There's the greed in one moment. Just Axite wanting to get aggressive, and when you're this late in the game, teams are just playing that much slower and are waiting for any kind of misstep.
Still 2 ultimates up against them too. It's going to be very difficult. They're just going to play it slow. Again, like you said, it's slow now. This is those moments of tension where you're going to try to just force the mental game out of your opponent. You're going to make them act first and make them make their own mistakes. Smoke out onto, I'm sorry, that was a Paranoia onto C. Doesn't find anything, doesn't see anybody. So looks like they're going to commit over to A.
But look at how much pressure this is just pulled over. 1 smoke, garage, 1
They committed?
Paranoia.
No.
They commit the lockdown.
No.
I mean, at this, and then there's a rolling thunder on the opposite side once they realize what's going down, and now it's just a flurry of stuns. No one can see anything. Somehow Shadowcaster's winding up on top, and you know, doesn't matter if you waste the lockdown if they run into your gun.
Yeah. Look, it's not the first time we've seen MHU make a decision like that. They did this back on Ascent. I'm like slack-jawed because I'm shocked it worked, but they did this in Ascent too. They faked the lockdown on one side and then pushed or held their ground somewhere else, and it worked out perfectly for them. So, I'm still stunned it worked, but I know it'll never happen in my ranked games. So, kudos to them. It did cost them both their ult, so it's going to be just down to gunplay here. Noodle still holding onto that Hunter's, the Hunter's Fury is the difference maker here. A post plant means that they stand a better chance of getting their attack successful and moving to match point.
One step closer. Chris is walking up, has the option, gets the kill, dives in, looks for 2, takes him down. And you can just see why it is so impactful when Chris goes down early versus when it's Chris grabbing those first bloods, as Yiper gets the trade down, but you're still a member out. They still know exactly where you are, and Noodle's gonna take you from this world as MHU soon to be staring down that match point. They were even earlier, but have just not been able to get much together on this side of the map. Just util spam after util spam, holding the space, taking it away. There's nothing else to do but run out the clock if you're Brooklyn.
Yeah, you know you've already got it on set. They're going to chase the kill, it looks like, too. Shadowcaster at 29 HP. They're going to chase this down. They know he's in one of two places. Does he get anybody with him? No, he does not. So, match point now. I mean, I think it's a save round for MHU also. They're in like
close.
a half.
Yeah,
it's close.
It's just Axite.
It's just exactly just Axite. So, but I mean, they spent their ultimates to try to get through that. It'll have knives and Hunter's Fury across from them. BC just has a few more tools right now, which means that provided like you've called out, provided Chris doesn't fall early, they stand a good chance of getting in on site and maintaining that with the Hunter's Fury post plant. So. Very dangerous spot for MHU. If they get on site without a problem and get a full squad in, it's over.
Yeah, it certainly looks possible. Chris has already taken that space, and this is a full pull back. This is going to be a retake coming out of MHU. Not even really any attempts to fight for Garage or take any picks, because they know they need every single member. No ultis to work with, and a very slow rotate from their jet.
Trades on one on each, and knives finally come out though. I can hear them. Didn't look like they caught anything though. There's the flank. Axite with a stringer doesn't find anything now. But trades coming through. One on each. Chris continue to trade 2-2.
Oh no!
Down. Finally the picks on Pixie. Oh! That's it. MHU stays alive.
One whiff from Chris, and that seals the round. Mars Hill get their double digits. They stay alive. They only need 2 more, but that was, again, still so costly. They bought down for that round, and now they're going to have to scrap it out again.
It's just going to be, I think it's forces anyways if you're MHU from here on out. You have to just force. Every round is the last round as far as it's concerned. The one positive to them is that they built up 2 more ults, so they get a few more tools to work with. They'll have Seekers, and they'll have from the Beyond to work with. You know, arguably you'll have some information, a little bit of transport, but considering it's a defense, just knowing where they're coming from might be enough. Expect those Seekers to come out relatively early if they don't see a lot of noise from BC.
Yeah, and I think that's
they get the lockdown.
Not a bad decision, and getting that lockdown is big.
Yeah. BC getting that lockdown makes this very different. It means they now have an entry point and can now force the issue with Spike. So that you could see they were trying to contest that orb, but this may be something that comes back to haunt MHU.
I mean, it's so tight. That one guiding light spots nothing. Chris tries to peek off of it. And I do like this patience from Mars Hill. They can feel what's going on. They know that if they drop that first blood, just throw it away. And that if Brooklyn get antsy, there's always a chance that they make a mistake. And right now, crawling up sewers, this is that chance, as there's the lockdown that they secured before. No chance to get an aftershock on it. Now there's going to be Seekers used. Don't check the corner. And Axite once again gets a little greedy, gets one. It's traded back down. There's still a detain from up top. It was Shadowcaster. Still a 3v3 though.
A lot of utility from both sides, but the Omens kept both of theirs. Paranoia comes through, didn't enter. I mean, it looks like all 3 are just going to push this one entrance. I really want to see one of them take a different angle here. You can't triple swing this and expect to succeed.
Oh, another moment where you're worried for him. As Polo Spring gets that first blood. 2 members left. We've seen August come alive when moments require it, but now with worse weapons and not quite the angle. That is a 13-10 win for Brooklyn College, as unfortunately for MHU, they stay 0-3. They have not gotten a match under their belt, but that was a great performance from them, and it really showed that they still deserve to be in this league. Don't let that scoreline fool you.
Yeah. Oh, don't let that show at all. 2-1 is still a great point for them. You know, they managed to take their first map win, which is still huge. But again, when you look at the talent in this league, that it's still kind of crazy that this game was that close. You know, think about it. This is arguably the middle this is like the middle of the pack teams. Both of them competing very, very well at this, coming down to just individual moments and decisions. So those real micro decisions are just the difference makers. And I'm not going to sit here and be the one to say I could make those decisions better myself in the moment. So nothing to be ashamed of. It's great footage to look back and say, look, this was ours. Let's just watch the footage, scrim a little bit, and just fix up those kinds of minor moments. And both teams have a chance to keep climbing up the ranks.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you love to see from these teams. And of course, we're still in collegiate. These are still teams that are learning, growing, and developing. And we certainly showed that there's space for both teams to keep growing after this one. And also, I think some moments for both teams to be very, very proud of, as we're going to go ahead and line up an interview from y'all so we can hear from the side of Brooklyn College, as we'll be right back. Welcome back for one final time as J Turbo and Soav, and we've got alongside us from the winning side, Noodle, one of the real difference makers for Brooklyn College. How you feeling after that win?
I'm feeling great. I mean, I was a little stressed in the middle, you know, after map 2, but you know, map 3 we had to clutch it up. Very close games. I love the way Mars Hill plays, but you know, we had to take it home in the end.
Yeah, they really did give you a run for your money. You could see it in those moments where they were really forcing you to clutch up.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about that. What are those moments like? Like, how was it knowing that the score was so close? Seeing those retakes come down to like 2v2, 3v3. What was going through your head as you were kind of going through those retakes and those kind of tense moments?
It's honestly just like a lot of keeping your mental, like staying strong, making sure that you're just solid regardless. You can't really let the lost rounds get to you, and just like keep pushing. Have faith in your teammates, and that's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the faith in you. I've never seen a Sova flank so far across that entire map to come from C to A. So let me ask you this as someone who considers that. Is that kind of your style? Are you like a flanker? Are you one of those players that's willing to feel comfortable enough to like go off on your own? Because we saw a couple of those moments where we saw you take some long flanks just to find the value. Like, is that your style, would you say?
That is completely my style. I mean, I'm usually a smokes player, but I felt I wanted to switch it up, get on the initiator lately. Yeah, usually I'm on the flank. That's like my dig.
Nice. And I got one more for you. And so my personal headcanon for how round 1 of Haven went was that you guys just raced through onto B. You're like, we're going B, see that there's a few too many people, and you're like, okay, no, we're going A. Is that kind of how the decision was, or was the plan always to wind up getting to A?
It was planned always to get up to A.
Okay.
But it got a little messed up in the middle. Got a little wild.
Yeah, it looked a little wild, seemed pretty fun. Now, after this one, anyone you want to shout out for it?
Yeah, my teammate, he told me to shout him out, and I want to shout out my boy Brandon, who's always been watching my game since the beginning. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that is amazing. Great to hear. You put on quite the show for us, and Brooklyn, you guys have been killing it in your elite league, so looking forward to see you guys keep performing. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thank you.
And for everyone at home, that is unfortunately going to be the end of our broadcast. Soav, I mean, that was just such a wild ride from top to bottom.
That was quite a banger of a match. You might have just glazed over this and kind of saw the teams and rosters and been like, maybe I'll skip this one. You're going to regret it. That was a fantastic match. We saw some quality Valorant, some nonsense, but some great clutch moments out of both of these teams, and I'm so happy to have been a part of it with you, J Turbo.
Yes, it was an absolute blast getting to kick things off as Week 3 will continue, as tomorrow we've got HSEL Valorant at 4 o'clock, ECC Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 6. You're going to see Staten Island up against Florida State. Then right after, we've got some ECAC Rocket League, and that Concord up against Staten Island as well. Thursday, we'll see, or actually still tomorrow, ECAC Overwatch, a very, very busy day as Ohio Northern, St. Francis are going to be duking it out. And that's going to be it from us tonight. Be sure to catch more esports tomorrow right here on Esports U. Have a good one.
Take care.
instead. That's nice to see. So even though we haven't seen North Georgia really be able to march forward with a lot of convincing attacks, at least the backline up until now has been secure. Can't get the read on the bounce, and that's finally our first goal. 10 seconds to go for Kennesaw trying to close this one out.
Yeah, still with the pressure here from Kennesaw. Now only our second demo. This one from downtown, and that's going to be an own goal here at 3 seconds. We spoke a little too soon here, Danger Talk. Slavip left side, little tap, not really taking away possession. Now definitely does. Displayer going up, the double tap. Hugh Dog and North Georgia come from behind victory with the Puma symbol on the side.
As we have seen many a time with new rosters in the beginning of the semester, this might be the first time these players are really playing together at all. So this is really setting the tone for how you guys all click together. Quang trying to bury one here on the near